1-1 pitch, swung on, and that one's hit well. Left field, Carlson's going back. He's at the track, he jumps, and that ball is gone. A 2-run shot for Nick Castellanos.
And this pitch is hit well in the air, deep left center field, and this game is going to be tied. It wasn't a leadoff home run, but into the bullpen for Matt Wallner, his 13th home run of the year, and it's 1-1.
2-2. Driven deep to right field. Way back. How about Juan Soto? Halfway up the bleachers. He goes down in pain and inflicts pain on that baseball.
Yeah, I'm doing that all the time. You know, when you come back from injury, you're always trying to keep the joint loose. That's part of ligament injuries. If you don't move it, you're going to lose it. So I'm always moving around, keeping it loose, keeping my mobility the way that it's supposed to be. So, you know, it's going to continue to happen. I do it at home. I do it here.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharpe and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
Yeah! Get set! Here we go!
And here we go on a Thursday, football kind of Thursday. Good NFL game, good college game if you want to go down to San Marcos, Texas.
Been many times.
Never have been.
I've heard San Marcos, Texas is a nice place. That's the home of Texas State, which isn't very far from Austin.
It's always been a great party school since at least the 70s.
Yeah, how did they get Arizona State there? That's
probably another party school.
That's the ESPN game tonight.
Yeah, it's the party school bowl then. There you go.
Bobcats trying to beat them like they did the Texas State Fighting Armadillos, although I don't know if they're going to win 65-0.
They have flat top?
But don't count out G.J. Kinney because that dude's a stud.
Yeah, and Texas State is...
He won't be there next year.
Texas State's turned into a pretty good athletic program, like across the board. You know what? You don't have to pay how expensive it is to live in Austin. You live in San Marcos.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're pretty competitive in sports. They love their football. That's a good game. That's just very surprising that Arizona State would go to Texas State. But that's the ESPN game tonight. And, of course, Al Michaels is back in our life tonight. The real Al Michaels, not the AI Al Michaels from the Olympics.
Yes.
He is with the Amazon Prime game. Good one, Buffalo, Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, Kelly against Marino.
AFC East matchup.
I haven't looked further down, say, as we get into October on the Thursday night games and the prime games, because remember that at one point it was like always Jacksonville, Indianapolis, and it was always the Jaguars would essentially live on Thursday night football. I feel like
the Bears in Washington.
That happened actually twice in a matter of 2 years on prime. So I'm if this is a sign of things to come, again, I think they whet the appetite early on, and then you get used to it, and then they're like, okay, now on with the junk games, because I think the Bears are.
Their schedule isn't bad this year, though. I mean, you pay that much money.
Yeah.
Now they've given them, other little fringe stuff that turns out to be pretty productive. But that is the first game on a Thursday night. It's Miami Buffalo. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I have to tell you, boys, and all of our listening audience, I apologize if at some point I crawl up in the corner and take a nap. It's because I'm tired.
Oh, what'd you do?
Usually how it goes.
I'm just going to be honest. Sometimes we fight through it. You work these kind of schedules. You get up weird hours.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'm going to fight through it. And then by 10:30, you're out for the next 4 hours taking a nap on your couch. Not that I've ever done that or anything.
No.
That sounds amazing.
So I wanted really badly to sweep the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So it did not happen in a slugfest. The Dodgers won 10-8. So I was going to give myself, I wanted to watch Ohtani bat a couple of times last night. And the Cubs are playing out the Dodgers, which, Dodger Stadium's a great place, man. They have that amplified sound that they put in there, and they turn up the PA.
Great organist.
They put on the scoreboard, "Let's go Dodgers."
Not since the RCA Dome when they pipe in the crowd. Yeah.
No. So that always riles me up a little bit, but the Cubs were going for the sweep, so I stay up and watch that. In the first inning, the Dodgers hit 4 home runs. Ohtani does his thing. Still unreal 50-50 is in play after a year which somebody went 40-70. So I'm watching that game, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to give myself one more Ohtani at bat. And the next thing they know, the Cubs are back in the game, and we're tied at 7. We're only in the 5th inning. I'm like, this game is bonkers.
Damn it!
I cannot turn this off because Bellinger has hit 6 home runs in 13 games against his old team, and I'm like, and he's going to get a couple of more at bats. This is going to work. We're back, baby. The schedule lightens up after this. The Cubs are going to make a run. Yeah, it did not happen. And then I doubled down. because I accidentally had Twitter open.
Mhm.
I did not pull a Shannon Sharpe or anything like that.
Oh,
He had a good time.
Ooh.
You two who are more versed in that kind of stuff will have to explain to
Verse
me.
in that kind of stuff.
You didn't let me finish.
Oh.
Instagram.
Oh.
So you guys
I knew
will-
what you're getting
You guys
at.
will have to explain to me what happened with Shannon Sharpe yesterday.
Okay.
By the way, not related.
Yep.
If you guys were wondering,
I
if
always
you saw
did wonder.
him and you're wondering, is he related to Gary?
Yeah.
It's spelled differently.
Yeah.
Not just Shannon. So I had Twitter open, and I think for all the good that Nebraska football has done, especially the start to the season,
Mhm.
they do not respect us like first shifters.
No. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They released Chasing 3 after 9 last night, and
Yeah.
I told myself I'm going to wait until I get up and I can watch it because I'm going to stay up and watch the Cubs game.
That's fair.
I did not stay up and watch the entire Cubs game because, I mean, I should have. I saw the last 2 innings this morning, and they had a bad top of the ninth and lost. Okay. But people were commenting on the Chasing 3, and I know I want to watch it because of the Colorado one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, so I watched it. Your boy didn't have much sleep last night.
See,
And then
I
the thing-
did what you wanted
Yeah.
to do.
And then
I watched
the,
this
the
morning.
thing that they don't understand, this is what Nebraska football does not understand about us first shifters. And I think they owe us something. You cannot put
Listening?
that content out while people are getting ready to go to bed.
Right.
Because you know what? You're fully hussed.
Mhm.
You're-
Okay.
you're jacked.
You have to lay on your back,
Mhm.
and you might want to get up and run through a wall.
Or you might
And-
want to pull a Shannon Sharpe.
Well, you're fully huss, so yeah.
I mean, just don't go live.
Yeah.
That might seem like a morning thing.
Tape delay.
But if you've not seen the Chasing 3 with the behind the scenes of Colorado,
It's the best.
you might want to be by yourself. You might
Pants
wanna give-
optional.
No. Keep the pants on. We don't need to go there.
Well, you're at home.
This is not X-rated. I usually take my pants off when I walk in the house, though. I'm
It's
just
warm.
comfortable. It's a
Well,
long
yeah,
story.
yeah.
It's nothing sexual or anything. It's all about
Well,
comfort.
it's just like 85 degrees in your place.
But you might want to watch it where you have a moment to be by yourself, because everybody was waiting for it, and it delivered.
Mhm.
It was a banger. And if you already love Bud Crawford, you cannot love him any more
Yeah.
than his Friday night speech to the team, him walking out in the tunnel walk.
Yeah.
Any tissues needed?
Well done. Again, no, it's not like
Not emotional?
sad.
No.
It's like fired up,
Yeah.
engaged. Shiloh Sanders running his mouth, deserved to break his
Nice.
forearm.
Yep.
Maybe not. Maybe that's a little too harsh. But it's a lot of the behind the scenes. So you see how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
And it kind of, the behind the scenes matches what we saw in person on Saturday night.
Right. I need more Ed Foley sprints, by the way. Thank you for that footage. Going all the way back to the mat
Ed
drills.
sprinting?
See,
Man, I
well,
feel out of
they
shape
had
now.
the coaches were going through mat drills too. They were a team, and watching Ed Foley do sprints was great. Give me more real coin toss trash talk too, especially when you know
Like
the
OU
result.
Miami?
You think
of
that
it as
happens
well.
all the time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely.
You think that's going to happen with Northern Iowa and Nebraska? Someone's going to run their mouth to Ty Robinson?
Only in the Handley household.
Yeah. First of all, he an idiot. If you're
Yeah.
running your mouth to Ty Robinson, Ite?
He's huge, by the way.
He is.
I mean, as an individual, he's a large man. You throw pads on him, and he's huge. Something about the single digit too
Imagine the pads when we
makes
were
him
younger.
look bigger. But I mean, it was almost too good that you're going to get the crap talking during the coin toss. And again, knowing what happens afterwards too, it's like, this is amazing. I love that right before that part too. Hey, let him have the ball. Let him have it. Just
It's your field. Please take the ball.
You knew this would be good. That was the thing. Is as soon as that game was over, it probably, once you came down from cloud nine, even when you're on cloud nine, there was a lot of mentions on that on social media afterwards of cannot wait to see the Chasing 3 after this one.
Mhm.
Cannot
Oh,
wait
yeah.
to see it. And like any good movie, when you are anticipating, sometimes it doesn't always deliver. This was without question the best.
See, I love when you get to see how the sausage is made. So you see the real deal, and then you get to find the behind the scenes. And this is exactly what it is. Like the whole lead up of last week
Mhm.
on how that game, it just reiterated my point that game was over before kickoff. Nebraska was going to win that football game by their preparation. And then you see the lead up and the Bud Crawford line, diamonds shine anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah. For Nebraska.
He's such a little dude. I mean, he'll probably be at our TV game tonight with Central and North.
Mhm.
But man, he's such a little dude. But man, he got a
Bad
big
man.
voice. He got a big personality. And there's besides the football stuff with Bud, and Bud's heavily involved in this, is it's pretty cool to see somebody that is at the height of their sport in a completely different sport. You can really tell that Bud Crawford appreciates being around Nebraska football. I mean, look at him before the game. He's out on the field. He's wearing his 140 jersey. He's out on the field. He's throwing like long passes. I mean, he's like a little kid. This is the guy that is pound for pound one of the best, if not the best boxer in the world, lives right here in Omaha, Nebraska. And he's like a kid out on the football field. And then this itty-bitty dude who packs a major punch is up in front of some large men, and he tells them, kind of like walks them through the mindset. And you're like, damn, I can't like you anymore. You are Omaha. But it's cool. Like he's like giddy to be around those guys. It's just, the one thing that this series does, and this football team does, and the start of the season, and we've said this many times on the show, is I think for the first time in a while, the passion of the fan base, the team matches the passion and vice versa.
Yeah.
Like there is a connection, and I don't think it's just because they're 2-0 and you beat a team that everybody in North America and South America and Europe wanted to beat in Colorado.
And Antarctica.
Miss them. I'm not sure. Colorado might be big up there because of the climate. Looks very similar in some parts of Colorado. But there is a connection between the fan base and the football team.
The people.
That's people may be the best way to, another word to describe it, is that we haven't seen in a while. And I think that's pretty cool for all of us that have been through it and have been like, man, that football program ever going to return my investment and what I give them?
Yeah.
Right now, whoo, hello. I mean, play the Northern Iowa game tonight.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, and the other part about it is, it's funny. We were talking a lot about volleyball yesterday because I always felt like that
set, serve, spike,
that connection. By the way, there's some great NIL shirts that I want to, as far as the volleyball ones go.
Really?
Yeah, they got
black shorts.
Well, you saw Josiah wearing the big black Beck shirt, or no, it was his mom. I think his mom was wearing that.
I think those are homemade.
No, it's an NIL. I saw it last night. It was on a NIL volleyball shop, Nebraska's NIL volleyball. So,
what are you doing on a Nebraska NIL?
It just showed. It was on
gear?
social media,
supporting the program.
There were some good ones.
Is every player got a shirt?
Most of them, yes.
That's cool.
There's Beast in Mode.
Nice.
Oh, now
there's
I could get behind that one.
Icebergen.
Nice.
God, what else was there?
Take my money.
I think in
none.
Lexi we trust. There is one for
how's it for Krause?
No, it's set kill Krause, I think is what it is.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
These are pretty good.
They're actually
I would
some
wear
good
that
ones.
one.
And then there's it's a generic one, it just has the volleyball with like what looks like a Saturn ring around it, and it says the volleyball universe.
That's
so
cool.
so there is
Wear that too.
There are some very cool ones
Nice.
out there. But we always talked about the likability factor with that team, the connection that fan base, and I think for a while has always had with them, because it's a loyal fan base, but it's a fan base that that team has always done a really good job. And this goes, beyond just this group in the last 2 years, but before that too, is they're always very engaging with that fan base. I think back to Nebraska football, as much as fans always want to engage with them. And this isn't saying teams in the past, there were players that weren't great ambassadors of the football program, because I think every roster every year has always had that group. But, think about a little bit of the Bo Pelini era. It was more of the us against them, and sometimes that involved the state. Sometimes that involved.
When you're winning, you can do that because people are like, we got a chip on our shoulder. I'm Lamar Jackson.
Right. And so there was a little bit of that of they embrace us. We don't fully embrace them. When Riley was the head coach, I don't think you really knew the team very well. And it was odd because it wasn't that he denied access, but I don't think you didn't really know much about him. Maybe it was more of a higher up than Riley as far as that goes.
Engaging.
Yeah. And because I don't think that was a priority.
Also, I don't think we liked his boss.
Another part of it. And I think all those things matter. And then I don't even have to get into the Scott Frost regime, but this is the one thing that Matt Rule, and again, it starts with the top, is really trying to emphasize.
Kind of say it just like him. It does sound like him.
Like the point system when it comes to the offseason and these guys being out, being visible. But then it did come down to the access of what they're doing now with this series. And anytime you get inside looks, I found myself even going all the way back when Hard Knocks started.
Yeah.
You can't help but not to start to get interested in everybody's personal story that they would show on all of those shows. And even if it was a team that was not the team you rooted for, you always found yourself kind of interested in that team the rest of the way because you felt like you knew them a little bit more. So this thing has done wonders for, I think, that ability. But then what goes beyond that, I think, is the fact that this is a group, because of the head coach, has really aligned, like you said, coming back to that original point of they're aligned with the passion that the fan base has always had for this football program, that they have to making it more about just themselves. And I think you always hear this from former players, that it's bigger than me. This whole thing, this Nebraska football culture and the history and the program is bigger than me. I think you do have a collection of guys that are actually highly visible and highly impactful on the field that play like that talk like that too.
I mean, it just is enhanced because of who they're playing.
Right.
The tunnel walk is really, really cool because it's from the player's perspective. Stuff that goes on in the tunnel walk maybe should be played over the PA instead of Sirius, which that we are knee deep in the football season when people are arguing about should they change the tunnel walk music
For the 30th straight year.
What if they didn't play any music?
Actually, less.
It was just really quiet. You just saw them. You just heard them.
What if they let the fans,
like the old days?
What if they let the fans be the crescendo when they first see the team and the fans, get all fired up and they play no music and they just open the gates and
like the
run
70s.
on the field? Yeah. But I think, and again, it's not just they're winning, they're 2-0. Do you feel a closer connection to this edition of Nebraska football? The authenticity that comes out from the mouth, the actions on the field, and then anything that is put out there that engages the fans. And I would absolutely say, yes, it's a very likable team. We like the AD. We like the head football coach. We like where we're going. We don't know where we're going at the end of the year, but so far, so good. But then something like this comes out, and it just reiterates the point of the thing that makes Nebraska special. And I know you could say, well, this happens at other places. Well, we're not around other places.
Right.
Is you need that connection between the fans and the program. You don't need the disconnect. You need to use the
100%.
fans as your number one asset.
Yep.
The number one asset that Nebraska football has isn't 5 trophies in a case or a nice building that's got tall glass that I would love to have as my ceiling to floor windows. It's the fans.
Yeah.
It's the fans that keep showing up, that are passionate, that allow us to do our jobs, to talk for 6A to 6P, sometimes 6A to 8P on this radio station. But why not use them? Because they use you.
Yeah.
And maybe for the first time in a while, that connection is just growing stronger and stronger. And that was just like one of the thoughts watching that is, okay, fans were geared up. Fans, students, they followed the orders on Saturday night.
Yeah.
And then you saw the players delivered. And it wasn't just, you know what, we're just going to go out there and play. They're like, yeah, aight.
The hype that we knew existed amongst that team was awesome. Even one of my favorite things about these in-season ones has become the Marcus Satterfield and Tony White address where Satterfield throws in that. How do you like them apples? But Tony White.
Poll question, and people will read this the wrong way.
Yes, he does have other things other than vests.
But just because of he's a very engaging person.
Yeah.
But I would think that he comes across as a goober. And I'm going to say that
anytime someone could refer to someone as a goober, I don't even care. I laugh.
think like sometimes when you call somebody a goober, it's bad.
A goober or a doink.
I think I could call Marcus Satterfield a goober.
Kind of a goober.
Like, oh, that's an affectionate
Yeah,
term.
no, it can be because if you say, oh man, that
very
guy's
unassuming guy, but who's got phrases and an accent.
Yeah. No, because if you say like, oh man, that guy's a goober, then it comes across kind of bad. If you like, you know what, kind of a goober, and you're like, I want want to hang out with that guy. Yeah, we've all had a little goober in us. Why not?
Ooh.
And then Tony White, again, everything that they say, at least in the moment, especially as we know how the game plays out, it just seems like, okay, that makes sense. Okay,
Yep.
Like what they had to say, like what the response was. We heard about this from Matt Rule, but when they were talking about guys like Roman Mangini and the scout team and how they were really pressing, you got to see actual footage of that.
By the way, his stock and Keith Williams' stock going on.
Right. Oh, yeah. And to hear that, but then to see it, a little bit of what was going on, but everything. Now, mind you, it's 45 minutes-ish? You're not going to capture Monday through Friday the emotions of 120 plus guys, but every time it seems like they've been really challenged by this coaching staff. It doesn't ever seem like that group is ever dejected. So I have Matt Rule said the one word he wanted to use was trust. Maybe that's another part of this whole likability with this football program. And the one thing that I've said many times on outside observers with this Nebraska football program when it comes to choosing them in various games is I don't trust them. When you watch this team, it seems like they 100% buy into everything that coaching staff is putting out there. And, Matt Rule getting the game ball is a small example of that. But the fact that a game went the way that we were being told it would go on that side, but many times we've heard that before of
game was over before kickoff.
So it actually went to script because of the way they prepared, but also the way that team went out and executed. And I know, again, there's a lot of clever things that are said by this coaching staff of the type of culture, but that culture of execution that they always talk about. And a game like that is a perfect example of we know we're a better team, and now it's just going out and doing it. And then when you see it go to script from the very first series too, just everything about it. This one delivered from so many aspects, but the fact that you already saw what happened, but how they prepared in getting it to that moment, I thought was really cool.
They're gonna have a hard time with the Northern Iowa week. I have to pull a rabbit out of the hat for the next Chasing 3.
That'd be a good halftime show.
That actually would make for good drama if somehow a rabbit came out of a hat.
Yeah.
Are magicians still around? Like, do kids have birthday parties and a magician shows up?
Oh, I thought you were talking about
it's
Urban.
all about
Urban's doing well.
It's all about the bouncy castles now.
Yeah, like you can't go to the mall and go to like the magic shop and the guy behind the counter is doing the cup underneath the ball underneath the cup trick.
Now you go to Hot Topic.
What just came out of my hand there?
Hot Topic.
What is Hot Topic?
Nick, you know Hot Topic.
I know. I've heard of it. I don't know
wow.
Exactly
it was a store. We went in high school. They sold all kinds of stuff.
Was
Posters,
it like Spencer's?
T-shirts? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They were related.
I always knew that there was a Hot Topic. I didn't know what it was. I just assumed it was like a young clothing store.
12-year-old Gary was pro Spencer's.
Spencer's was great.
Shout out Spencer's.
They never stopped me from going in the back.
Well,
I had a lot of questions after I went in the back of Spencer's.
Now, I'm not trying to say I'm above this at 45 years old, but at 13 and 14, when you would have cards that had farts and other things on them, I thought that was very, very funny.
Bodily functions.
I thought it was really, really funny.
I don't think you have to
make noises about it.
I don't think you have to apologize whatever age. You might have a grandpa that thinks farting is still funny and he's 75.
I'll tell you to pull
He doesn't
your
know
finger.
he's doing it, but
yeah.
Come on.
Grandpa will still tell you to pull your finger. Pull his finger.
Yeah, but nowadays there's stranger danger, and you never know what Grandpa's going to pull.
If Grandpa comes up to a stranger and says to pull his finger, then okay, this day and age.
Or asks you to get in his van that has no windows.
Unless it's a ding ding man because there's ice cream.
Did I ever tell you about the best bumper sticker I ever saw?
Your grandpa was a what?
No, the best bumper sticker I ever saw on a van that was without question creepy. This was
come inside.
No, but not too far from that. It said on the bumper sticker on the back, it said, "Don't laugh, your daughter might be in here."
Wow.
Ooh.
I was going to go grass, gas, or ass, but yours is darker.
Spooky looking van, but the person who had it just leaned into it. Like, wow.
So
there was part of me that was kind of appalled, but also kind of like, that's clever.
You should ask questions.
You're leaning into the bit because you already know what people are saying about your van. So you're just like, yeah.
Didn't say come inside. The show's about to start.
No
Guaranteed to blow your head apart. Rest
Great
assured,
song.
you'll get your money's worth. The greatest show in heaven, hell, or earth. Good song.
That's a banger.
Can you fit that on a bumper sticker?
I don't know.
It'd be
Bumper stickers are very rare. I know this. I'm not very much of a car person. Like I used to get amused when I was little.
You drive them
by Click and Clack on NPR.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I'm not like a car guru.
Is that what you guys did in Urbandale? You listen to Click and Clack?
Click and Clack was one of the funniest things on NPR on Saturdays. I don't know. My mom was the educated person in our family, so that was our NPR.
I just love that you guys listen to NPR.
She had Click and Clack on. She liked it.
On Click and Clack.
Because there was a show on before it that was like a kind of a trivia show.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But
that kept you engaged, and then Click and Clack would just be on. And you're like, all right.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
So
I'm
not a car guru by any means. I like to drive cars. But I'm just going to tell you this. If you ever want to know what the age of the car is, it's probably loaded with bumper stickers. Just saying.
Yeah.
And that's I think if you're probably in the bumper sticker world, you've moved on to something else to make a little money. Because I
T-shirts.
The last 3 bumper stickers I've bought, I haven't pulled the back off to put on something.
Mm-hmm.
They're like on my fridge. Oh, yeah. Collected them.
Did you ever have Calvin whizzing on something like a buffalo? That was a popular one. I remember seeing the
late
Calvin.
90s.
You know what?
Yep.
49ers and Packers logos. I remember
that does not fit my personality. So on the back of my truck, I will not have that.
Okay.
Or I will not have
the brass balls.
That's probably not me.
So
I was petrified when my mom showed up my first semester in Lincoln, and she showed up and her car had a sticker on it that said,
oh, you're on the honor roll?
My son and my money go to Nebraska.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Nice.
I like that.
1890.
No, you know what?
Were you ever on the honor roll?
Hey, pull this leg and it plays Jingle Bells. Not a chance.
Okay.
Kindergarten, maybe.
No. Like I would have been on the honor roll if they would have combined semesters.
It's supposed to be same. That's like my 4.0 GPA.
I don't apologize for having a terrible GPA.
Did you have fun?
You know what? I learned on the streets.
Yep.
That's where my knowledge came from. I didn't need any book smarts.
Streets of Urbandale.
And I openly question, why do we have to have 4 semesters of Spanish?
That's a great question.
Or other classes that you have to take.
Like math. Why do we need it?
I went to the school of life, and I think I'm better for it. They always say, hey, wait, you got to have a good GPA. Put it on your resume.
Yeah.
I've never applied for a job or like been in a job where they go, hey, what was your GPA?
Yeah. Math equations for me were like, why? I'm not going to be an engineer.
And if they would ask, I would say, like by semester overall combined.
Right. You don't want to be George O'Leary.
Like if they would have allowed me, like to do the point system where, like you could keep your top 2 and eliminate like your bottom 4.
Yeah. That's how they figure out golf handicaps now too.
I'd been money. I would have got a different color ribbon at the old graduation.
You take away the best score and the worst score, and then you combine the mean.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. I don't care.
Pay attention, kids.
Like high school graduation. I had a friend that was a really smart guy. Okay. So he had all these things on his outfit for graduation day, like ribbons. Yeah. I mean, he looked like the United Nations. He had so many different colors. I just had a tassel.
Yeah.
And you know what? At the end of the day, we had the same high school degree.
Yeah. There was part of me that I'll admit I was a little envious when they were wearing the different, like ribbon rope things to dignify, or not dignify, but to equate to honor roll. Or then there was like super honor roll. Like your GPA went above and beyond. Like you're a 4.7. Didn't even know how that was possible. And a 3.5, like it's child's play. I can give you a 4.3. I was a little envious because then I wondered for my 4 years that I didn't have one of those. Did I do something wrong? And then that thought, it crept into my mind, and then it just quickly escaped because I was excited about graduation parties. So that was fine. But
those were fun.
Did you? So you're telling me
why are we talking about my lack of knowledge?
Well, we were talking about bumper stickers, and I thought
I'm defending you. I think I was on a similar plan, so I can't judge.
Yeah, I was like, hey, whatever gets me by, I'm good.
I mean, last I checked in this country, they do not like tattoo your GPA on your arm.
No, I mean, they don't. You could if you're super proud of it.
All the kids out there listening, don't be like Gary, okay?
Why?
Yeah, didn't you? You said you had fun.
Dude,
you're an American success story.
If we would have played,
you had a pig.
If we would have played around the world for my 19 years of schooling, Like I dominated around the world in
Around
the
the world?
spelling bee.
Okay. See?
See?
All good
Yeah.
things. All
Put that
good
on your
things.
And
resume.
any broadcasting classes.
Yeah,
or
there you go.
speech
Speech,
or-
yeah, speech.
Or I was in plays.
Okay. So you're a thespian?
I like to-
Versatile.
I like to talk. Okay, enough of this.
Because we brought the bumper sticker thing, and I said, okay, well, did you have an honor roll one? Would your
Did
parents
you?
have been? No.
Did you?
No. Would your parents? No. And see, my parents would have been more. They didn't do this, but would your parents be more likely to say, "My son beat up your kid that's on the honor roll" than my kid is on the honor roll? Oh,
I've seen that bumper sticker.
exists, and it's always made me wonder,
especially in the 90s.
Are we promoting bullying, or is this just kind of funny? I don't know. It's kind of funny. I'd like to think that the parents aren't promoting their kids to be bullies.
Athletics.
But it's kind of funny.
Boxing.
It's like when you see the 13.1 or the 26.2 and then you see the 0.0. I appreciate that. I think that's funny. Not necessarily saying you're making fun of everybody who does that. You're just saying, I don't do that.
Are you also
and I'm proud
amused
of it.
by the like you'll see people will do the sticker where it's the stick figures of the family.
Yeah.
And it's the kids. And then when they get divorced, they X out the wife.
I like when they
see, that's become the new modern bumper sticker is the
I thought you were gonna say that's the new modern thing is to get divorced. I think the new modern thing
I don't think that's new, Gary.
I think the new modern thing is not to get married.
Right.
Yeah.
Kids today don't want to get driver's license.
A lot of life partners, yep.
Yeah.
Can we blame Uber on both? No, probably not.
I don't know. But at the end of the day, Nebraska's 2-0.
TC with on
Tie it
point.
back together.
On point as TC always is. And the stream says, magicians, did they just disappear? There you go, man.
He has jokes.
TC.
Because his team won last
He
night.
never fails.
He should just come in the studio and we'll have him sit over there.
Yeah.
And then when it's time to drop in a joke or a one-liner, he just
Our Friday guest.
He is between he and then my good buddy over at for the UNO hockey games that he usually handles the horn.
sounds like a good buddy.
Doc Schuster.
You're struggling to get.
Oh
his
no,
name.
no! I'm just trying to because he does various things. He used to be
guy, man. We go way back.
He used to be
Durango. What's his name?
I was trying to remember exactly what because he used to be a goal judge, and then they got rid of goal judges because that's all automated. So now he just handles the horn. But Doc Schuster, who's been he's been crewing since I think back when we were in the Civic, probably the first go around with UNO hockey. But he is the king of dad jokes. That he will come down into the box before every game and give us some amazing dad jokes. Between him and TC,
I like it. Your job is I handle the horn.
I know. Hey, that was we were on a run where there were some pretty bad horn people. People reading books, people falling asleep.
Nick, we were on a run where there weren't a lot of goals scored. There were a lot of goals that were stopped, but not a lot of goals that were scored.
Touche.
Things have changed.
Yes.
Weird things catch up to you. It's NCHC Media Day up in St. Paul.
Preseason poll or the rankings came out yesterday.
What in the heck? Where is football season? But
I know. Then we're getting like the basketball drip and all that. It's
the NHL season in Prague starts like in 3+ weeks.
Yeah.
Got to sign my guy Sidney Crosby. Let's go. Let me give you the lineup for the show. It is week 2 of the NFL kicks off tonight. Good one. Buffalo and Miami. Miami is a slight favorite in an early AFC East showdown. Eric Edholm will join us coming up at 8. Steve Sipple stops by at 8:30. Then Brian Edwards is in for some thoughts on week 3 of the college football season, including his team, which has Texas A&M. That line is kind of interesting. If you go back 2 weeks ago and you look at the Texas A&M Notre Dame line and now look at Florida Texas A&M.
Strangely like the Gators, and I don't know why.
Well, we'll see if Brian likes his team. That's coming up at 9:45. That's the lineup brought to you by the Rivalries at John Higgins Weather Guard. Lots to discuss. Again, if you've not seen Chasing 3, it's like the handshake meme between the fan base and the football program. You will enjoy it.
Yeah.
You might enjoy Pac-12 coming back.
Yes.
Will Nebraska go deep this weekend against Northern Iowa? I think Joe Buck and Troy Aikman have killed one of their own, and it's really kind of sad.
Oh,
Plus more on the good slate of
Poor Joe
games
Buck.
for a Thursday night as we're one day closer to Northern Iowa and Nebraska. Off and running on a Thursday. There's Nick, Jimmy, I'm Gary. It's Mornings with Sharpe and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Should also mention not only interesting college game, Arizona State, Texas State, and then you have the NFL game. Sneaky good Thursday night in Omaha for high school football. Kearney's at Millard South, and then Central and North play over at Kinnick Stadium on the campus of Northwest High School. It's our TV game. Last year it came down to the final play, the final drive. Nice little rivalry. Lots of talent on the field, but those are two really good Thursday night games.
Another one I'm asking you because I would think at some point this would or will be good, because I know Elkhorn is not what they used to be, but Elkhorn-Gretna East tonight. East making a nice little jump here in year 2?
That would be a competitive game.
Okay. Because, I'm looking at some of the other games that were taking place. That one, I thought, there's a Metro one. It is, by the way, homecoming in Bennington tomorrow. Just let you know.
Who do they play?
Hastings Tigers.
Most hated rivals.
Coming to town.
Parade?
There is, actually, yes. Well, not a parade, but there is a huge tailgate. They've got all kinds of festivities.
Grand Marshal Nick Handley.
All kinds of stuff that, it's our first homecoming.
Yeah.
We got to get excited about this.
For all the frogs will be there.
If I want to be on some type of Bennington board, this is where I got to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
For the homecoming.
Good food, too.
Got to wear a name tag.
The Kearney-Millard South game. So Kearney hasn't given up a point in the first 2 games, and now they face that offense that scores when they wake up and put their feet on the floor. And Jed Tomlin is having a great start. Isaac Jensen, their tight end, is a lot of crystal balls now for Nebraska in the class of 26.
He's got a great dad.
Yeah, he does.
Jason.
But, Millard South is loaded. There's going to be quite a few Power 4 guys that'll be off of that roster. That's just, Kearney has come into the Metro before and caused problems.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good football program. That's a really good coach. That's an intriguing game. That would have been a good Thursday night game, but we went with Central and North for OPS on OPS.
Well, and you guys don't typally do if it's an
out-of-state team.
That's what I figured.
But Central with a couple of Nebraska offers. Then they have Ackerman and Wayne, who are going to be 2 really good players at the next level. And then, of course, North with Tyson Terry and John Cannon carried the ball 40 times last week. I imagine that if you are going to that game, that you will probably want to go a little bit earlier with the shooting that occurred inside of Northwest the other day. This was pretty ratcheted up. The crowd last year was about as entertaining as the game.
That was the game at Central, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember talking about that game.
So you probably want to just prepare, get there a little bit earlier. But should be a great game between Central and North. And then I noticed. Good for them, because we did them last year. They played West Side, and it was an unbelievable mismatch.
Columbus last week?
No, Lincoln Northeast.
Oh, okay.
So we had Lincoln Northeast, Omaha West Side at the end of last year, and I think the game lasted an hour. They kicked off, and then the clock just kept running.
It was already 30.
It was not.
I've called a lot of those.
That West Side team against Northeast, but their head coach, who is security guy inside of Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a great conversation with him. He's like, if people do not come and take our players, we might have a chance.
Ugh.
And they're, regardless of competition, they're off to a 2-0 start. They play Benson tonight, which Benson is 0-2 and has been outscored 96-6. But good on Northeast. I was excited. I thought Brian had a chance last week to get to 2-0, and Brian football hasn't been 2-0 in a decade. So we need OPS football to be more than North and Central.
It is amazing to me because you bring up Benson.
Well, it shouldn't be amazing if you're going there about OPS struggling in football.
No. And again, with open enrollment recruiting, everything that takes place now with transferring.
2020 is still 2020 impacted high school football and the OPS greater than I think most people realize from the outside.
Well, and
ask any coach.
And I remember you bringing this up last year too about how it's going to take a while. And this is a better question for you here in a sec. But I remember, so when we were playing, so I graduated in 97, and Benson had some great teams. The first team we played. And the debut of Millard West football was Randy Stella, Ken Keith. They were really, really good. They had a Shelsta who was very, very good. Omaha North had Adam Wright. They were solid. Central was actually down. which is kind of interesting because then, before that, Central was good. But it was, I always tell the story of how we were getting ready for Purnell Walton. They were also winless when we played them in week 7. And Purnell Walton was hurt. And we're like, damn, we got a shot. And then we were introduced to a Grigsby. We're like,
but look how long ago that is, Nick.
Oh, yeah, I know.
That's a long time ago.
It is a long time ago.
The landscape has changed so much.
It has. It was just amazing how you had, and you bring up Omaha, Brian, that was a tough-ass team. I mean, they really were. That whole, the whole South Omaha thing, between Brian and Omaha South, and, you had Gross, but you get some of those players that would go to Gross. But, Brian was another team that would smack you in the mouth a little bit, too. It just how spread out all of those OPS teams were. Now, none of them were ever in a position, other than that Benson team the year that you had both, Torrey Veland that played Norfolk and lost the state championship. You never had any OPS team that was a team that was, you're like, yep, that's a state championship type team. But they were always good for 5 or 6 wins, and especially when you were a program that was kind of struggling, they would exploit you, especially with the type of athletes that they had. It's weird to me to see, the Bensons of the world, the Bryans of the world.
See, I probably my
because I know you're more recent. You've seen it more recent. Yeah.
And I'm not surprised.
It's just one of those things where you draw back to your old high school play. At least I do. Draw back to my old high school play days, and I think of those OPS teams that you were very fearful of. In fact, one of the teams that, when Lamonji was at Burke, you go before that, Burke wasn't much of a threat. Burke wasn't much of anything. I mean, it was the Bensons were pretty solid. The Norths were pretty solid. Bryans were pretty solid. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just weird. But you're right. I mean, with 2020 and them not playing football and kids having a decision to make, and again, this is where I go back to the question of, you said it's going to take a while. I mean, are we getting any closer? Is it getting?
I actually could, I don't know, change things. But because of where they're located, watch out for Westview football.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people that probably should be going to Bennington are going to Westview and playing football.
Yep. I've heard that from several people.
Yeah. So because of their location, they may have a chance.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's something that personally, and especially seeing like Westview being so close to that area too, and knowing some of the athletes that go there, and I know a little bit more about some of the baseball program there too. I mean, they're getting good athletes there, and that area has a lot of athletes. And I know that at one point it was a choice between, well, we're going to be sectioned more to the Omaha Burke, and then Westview opens up, and then so they're like, okay, now you have that option right there too. But you're right about the Bennington part, because just throughout my neighborhood alone, which is Bennington, you see a lot of the Westview signs. My kid plays football for Westview, or my kid plays volleyball for Westview. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought this was Bennington here too. So yeah, that's what happens when you don't open a second school.
Talk to your people there. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. All right, coming up at 8:00, Eric Edholm. Jimmy's got an update in a little bit. We'll talk a little bit more about Nebraska, because the odds have jumped around in the Nebraska-Northern Iowa game. They went down 3 points, then they went up 5 points. What seems reasonable for Nebraska on Saturday in terms of margin or odds, where Nebraska has covered 2 straight games? Well, that's probably a long time ago since Nebraska covered 3 straight.
3. Ooh. I would have to look back to 2016 and see, what were the spreads? Because everything just goes back to 2016 in this whole thing. I mean, that's all it is. Everything is 2016. So if I were to make an educated guess, I'm going to say 2016.
All right, Jimmy's got an update coming up next. It's Mornings with Sharpe and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
High school football tonight on a Thursday. Class A Bellevue East at Bellevue West, Grand Island and Lincoln East. These are just some of the games. Kearney to Miller South, you heard in the last segment. Benson and Lincoln Northeast at Omaha Central, Omaha North. That's the TV game tonight. Good night for ball. Good weekend for ball. I'll say that every week. The tip-off of the basketball season, that's college basketball. It's coming. It moves to the streets, okay? As opening night in Lincoln will take place Friday, October 4th. This interactive, fan-friendly event will take place on Canopy Street between R and Q Streets, as the street next to the rail yard near Pinnacle Bank Arena will be closed for the event. The event starts at 7 p.m., includes both Husker basketball teams. It's free to the public. Everybody loves free. It'll feature introductions of both Husker teams, so get your scorecards ready, remarks from head coaches Fred and Amy, and, like a TV show, and selected players, contest with players and fans and much more, and maybe a little red. In case of inclement weather, they're just going to cancel the event and just go to the bars. Toledo keeps the Storm Chasers offense in check for almost the entirety of their 9-2 win yesterday. The Storm Chasers still good, by the way, 82-56. They managed just 3 hits against the Mud Hens while striking out 11 times. Omaha's first hit and only runs came in the second inning off a 2-run homer from Nelson Velasquez. Ryan Fitzgerald also scored after being hit by a pitch to reach first base. In college athletics, they're so back. 4 schools are set to announce today that they will depart the Mountain West Conference to join the Pac-12. The Pac-12 Board of Directors, currently the Tupac, approved applications from Boise State, the Colorado State University, who will be Colorado this weekend, San Diego State, Sean Lewis, and Fresno State for membership to begin in the 26-27 academic year. They would join the Beavers and the Cougs, the conference's 2 remaining schools following the league's collapse in the summer of 2023. Both those schools are good, guaranteed to finish no worse than second. In baseball, Francisco Lindor broke up Bowden Francis's no-hit bid. You can hear Nick just grimacing over there with a tying homer leading off the 9th inning. Francisco Alvarez added a 3-run shot, and the Mets scored 6 times in their last at-bat to beat the Blue Jays 6-2 on Wednesday. Take that, Canada. With his team on a record-losing pace, White Sox owner Jerry Reinsdorf, hey, people forget he's still alive, said the year has been very painful for all. He released a statement yesterday after his team dropped its 114th game. He says everyone in the organization is extremely unhappy with the results of the season. That goes without saying. This year has been very painful for all, especially our fans, especially America. We did not arrive here overnight, and solutions won't happen overnight either. Sounds promising. He commented publicly for the first time since last season when he fired front office executives Rick Hahn, Kenny Williams, replacing them with then farm director Chris, don't call me Leo, Getz, who became the general manager. The team lost 101 games last season and is on pace to lose 126 this season. Hey, your dreams can come true. That was after they were swept by Cleveland this week, including yesterday's 6-4 loss that drops the White Stockings to 33-114. Just a reminder, the 62 Mets hold the modern-day record for losses at 120, but of course you knew that. Other baseball, Twins win. Twins beat the Angels 6-4. I'm so sorry, TC. Twins win. And the Royals do lose at Yankee Stadium 4-3, and the Athletics beat the Astros in Houston 5-4. Bastards, come on, what the hell? They have more possums than fans in their stadium. I digress. Finally, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said the other day that there wasn't discussion of expansion at this week's meeting of the League Board of Governors, but that topic will be addressed at some point this season. It's been coming. The topic of expansion has been ongoing in NBA circles for the past few years, with both Seattle and Las Vegas being floated as potential homes for new teams. As time has passed, Silver has repeatedly said that the league was going to address expansion in a specific order, taking care of its new collective bargaining agreement and then its new TV deal before turning to the topic of expansions. TLDR, bring back our Sonics. Hell yes, long live the Soups. They're coming back. I just don't know when.
Thanks, Jimmy. The Big East conference schedule will be released today.
Ooh, that'll be good. You mean Rothstein hasn't got an all out yet?
No, I think it's
They
have slid in there with some John Fanta, who announced yesterday that the schedule will be released. I think this morning. I think there will be more on the Pac-12 after dark, which was very on brand for them to announce this movement
late.
I think they're supposed to release something in the next hour, like 6 a.m. is what I heard.
Damn, it's early out there.
But hey, I like what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what? Because now they already have a sponsor. It's all state.
Mm-hmm. They're in good hands.
They got Washington State. They got Oregon State. They got Boise State. They got Colorado State. They got San Diego State. Fresno State. So it's sponsored by all state. Mm-hmm. They have to get to 8.
Every team has to be a state.
Yes.
New Mexico State, Montana State, Utah State.
A couple of things here, because I think there is a local impact to this. First of all, how do you think Stanford and Cal are doing? They're locked into the ACC, I think, until 2036.
Yeah. Into that grant of rights as well. So that's the money you're also locked into. So not that saying that this Pac-12 is all of a sudden going to be booming bucks when it comes to their whatever their TV deal will end up being.
They got the CW, which is TV. You can watch it on TV, unlike the Pac-12 network.
This is what they should do. I give them credit for trying. You get the CW deal, but you got to be unique. You got to stand out. You got to play at odd times.
Yes.
Maybe you play at midnight. Maybe you play at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Maybe you play in different locations. You do different things.
Matt Rule's all for it.
Like you have to.
You're talking about 9 a.m. local time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you have to be unique to stand out. It's all about survival, and it's. If you're Oregon State and Washington State, I think this is another. But there's a couple of teams that were not mentioned, and I think it's more than just they're not named state. Like, what is UNLV doing? Is UNLV
hopefully losing tomorrow night? But
yes, that's an important game for your team. But is UNLV holding out for the Big 12?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Because basically, what the Pac-12 is doing is taking Mountain West teams,
right?
And then the Mountain West will take other teams. But UNLV being in the Mountain West, are they not enticing? Or are they saying maybe we will get picked up like the Big 12? UCF did the same thing. UCF waited and waited and waited, and then they got picked up by the Big 12. I think Memphis would hope to be picked up by like the Big 12, but would UNLV be a good pickup for the Big 12?
With the Vegas market, and then at least having a basketball profile, which are two, I think, very important things for the Big 12. I think you have to at least give them a long look, a pretty long vet right there, too, especially with, again, the Vegas aspect of this.
Paying players, it's all legal now, and Vegas has lots of money.
Like, what happens to Hawaii?
Oh, that's a good question, because
they fold the program within 10 years.
Whoa.
I don't like it, but
June Jones is going to come after you.
That's
Jerry Glanville.
That's another one, though, that as far as your travel partners, and I get it, geographically, none of this stuff ever makes sense anymore. So you can throw that a little bit out the window, but it is.
Yeah, that's why you can say, and not even bat an eye, Gonzaga in the Big East. Okay.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Think about the
East
kids
Washington.
and the travel. No, don't think about that.
No, you don't have to.
Think about basketball.
But if you are making the travel, here's the thing that I would ask. If you're making the travel, if you're going from the East Coast to the West Coast, okay, you're going to the East Coast. Again, this is all about market. East Coast market, the West Coast market. Okay, worth it. If you are considering Hawaii, is that a area that you are trying to reach or promote to? I wouldn't think that's a big emphasis of what
Nebraska would be upset. We can't have any more people in Hawaii stepping on our recruiting toes.
That's right. I don't think Hawaii. I don't know if they're folding, Jimmy, but I would say they're not a high priority.
I hope not. I like the Rainbow Warriors. I always have.
Late night games they usually cover
exactly 11:59.
It all comes down to survival with your TV contract.
Let's go, Bows.
Whatever this becomes. But I think there is. Well, first of all, let's just pause for a moment and bless the ground that we walk on around here. The Nebraska's in the Big Ten.
Yep.
I know we're comparing the new Pac-12 with the Big Ten, but just
I'm rolling with you.
Every day you wake up and you're the athletic director of Nebraska, and you field that one email that filters in every week that goes, I would like to go back to the Big 12 because I'd like to wake up at 6 a.m. and drive to Manhattan and be able to go to the game and then drive home afterwards. I don't want to have to drive 13 hours to Bloomington. I don't even know anything about Bloomington, then have to get a hotel room that costs me a lot of money. You should say, I bless the day every day that Nebraska's in the Big Ten. Because, by the way, look at the TV ratings from this past weekend. The two top games included Big Ten teams.
Yeah, Texas, Michigan, and Nebraska.
Michigan and Nebraska.
This is what they
wanted. 4 of the top 10 were Big Ten teams. Okay, so aside, just, kiss the ring, send a card to Jim Delaney.
Yeah, you like money,
even though Jim Delaney is a close talker. But back to this. He is. I've told that.
I know
story.
you have.
I
know you have.
He was like right there in your face.
I just don't think every time Jim Delaney's name is brought up, I don't think you've ever been able to mention it without that part, which is it's a good little side note about Jim Delaney.
The tail end of his tenure as a commissioner, and he was right in my face. He answered my question. He was right there.
It's a bit of a close talker.
But so they announced this last night. It's very on brand. It's after dark, but they've got to be unique. I think, though, there is a local connection to what possibly could happen. because the Mountain West now, they're going to need some folks. And Brookings and Fargo have football programs that could slide into the Mountain West, and they would just keep churning. What does that do to the Summit League, where Omaha's currently in? And it seems like a month doesn't go by with the Summit League that you don't hear rumors of Kansas City would like out, Denver would like out, Abilene Christian might be coming in, Texas Arlington might be coming in. I mean, the Summit League, I think, is in an interesting spot because they have big ideas to move forward. Like they want to have football and hockey under the umbrella of the Summit League. Why should some of their schools be playing in the NCHC or Missouri Valley? They want to have, let's make it the Summit League. But if I'm the Mountain West and I'm like, okay, what's out there? We gotta have some survival. Yeah. Would a South Dakota State and a North Dakota State look good to them? And if they leave the Summit League, then what happens to the Summit League? Does Omaha go, you guys from the Missouri Valley want to come back on campus and
evaluate us again?
Yeah.
That's so what I'd answer the question about South Dakota and North Dakota schools, what they do with, even if as an FCS football program, who are the programs that have been talked about the most in the last decade when it comes to FCS football? A lot of them hang out in the Dakotas. So that would be very, very appealing because I get what you're trying to do if you are the Mountain West and you're trying to salvage it, is you're trying to squeeze anything you can possibly out of TV contracts and get money within that conference. And this is the other good thing is, even though North Dakota State is not what they were even 2 or 3 years ago maybe, that look, the amount of eyeballs that were on the Colorado-North Dakota State game and where North Dakota State kind of came out smelling like roses because they fell just short of what was perceived at that point to be a really good Colorado team, still shows that there is a lot of respect for North Dakota State and that football program. Now South Dakota State and what they're doing too. So I think that would be very appealing. And I would think it would maybe be a mutual partnership. Now, the only thing I'd be curious about, you could answer this way better than I could. The Summit League caters around the Dakota schools when it comes to, obviously not football because they don't have a football conference right now. If they were able to execute this, and I have other questions about that, if Josh Fenton and that conference were able to execute a football and hockey plan, would football still be very Dakota-centric? I mean, basically with this conference, as it expands and as it goes into a hockey and football on top of basketball and basically a one-stop shop conference, would it still be very Dakota-centric? Because I would think you would also be adding in some other teams to fulfill your football.
It will always be Dakota-centric because the Summit League does not resonate in Omaha, Nebraska. No. The Summit League does not resonate in Denver, Colorado. It does not resonate in Tulsa, Oklahoma. What resonates in all those communities is DU, UNO, and ORU. Local, okay, and I think the one thing I've observed here of being around it is there's just the notion that it's still Division II because you're playing the same team. But in the Dakotas, the Summit League is a bigger deal.
And would South Dakota say South Dakota State?
They also don't have competition up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Omaha has competition in this market.
Sure.
Okay. Denver has competition. So, in Tulsa you have competition.
Right.
So it's always going to be bigger up in the Dakotas, but you lose two stalwarts. You got to be searching who would fit. I mean, Augustana. They've already gone Division I hockey. I don't know. It's just everything is. When you think you're done with realignment, you're not. Because I heard I was listening to a college football podcast 2 days ago. They brought up an interesting point. Everybody is, the president in Iowa last week said, basically, for now, the Big Ten is not interested in expanding. And I get it. They just added 4. And they're only going to add if the TV networks say, if Fox comes to them and says, go get that team. But they brought up an interesting point about Notre Dame. So Notre Dame loses to Northern Illinois. Arguably one of the top 5 upsets in the history of college football.
Yeah.
By the way, Nebraska, you don't want to be on that list. Okay? Matt Rule, there you go. You don't.
It's going to be part of chase.
But Notre Dame could lose a game like that and still realistically have a chance to play in the playoff, where I'm not going to say they're out, but it's tough for me to put a team into the playoff as an independent when they lose to a MAC school. And they were like, well, could that now be the next domino as Notre Dame loses? They don't get the playoff. They only have one loss. or 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
But in the Big Ten, they would get the bump of the Big Ten.
Yeah, you'd have the backstop of the Big Ten.
I don't want this during my season. I want to play the games. Let's save this for the summertime, please.
Yes.
True. We do need the content.
But last night, it's like the smart play by Oregon State and Washington State to go after 4. They got to get to 8.
Mm-hmm.
But what is Stanford and Cal sitting there thinking?
They're doing homework.
Our volleyball team is traveling 25,000 miles this year to play.
Yeah.
And they have to play SMU. You don't want to mix it up with them.
And again, I would also be very curious to your suggestion of do something different with whether we're talking about the CW or they're able to work out anything on top of that.
Kickoff in Boise at 8 a.m.
Eggs and eggs.
Okay.
Everybody that is not a player is dressed in robes or pajamas.
Okay, Gary, it's not crazy though, because
the Hugh Hefner Bowl
of having your own mark on the schedule. Because as much as I think most of us pretend to get excited, but we don't actually always watch. What do we know for MAC? You always know when the calendar turns to a certain point, you're going to get MACtion. You're going to get midweek MACtion. And so you know it. That's their brand. That's what draws. And if you want football on that night, you got it. You know where to go. I don't think that the Pac-12 could be above something like that. Now, I'm not saying necessarily you take away MACtion. But you have your own thing.
Yeah.
Whatever that might be. Yeah, maybe it's third. Well, you're going up against the NFL. But you're finding your window.
That's on the internet.
Or you're finding your time slot that is going to be unique to you, or you're like, well, I know I can get the Pac-12 game at this time. Most likely it'd be very, very late. Or the early thing. Boy, that would be interesting. Especially with on the coast like that.
For them, it'll be 11 for us.
You guys watched Oregon State or Washington State play at all? Other than maybe a highlight?
I watched the Beavers.
No. So I saw a couple series of the Washington State-Texas Tech game. Washington State, not bad. Now, you'll watch more of Oregon State this weekend because this is Civil War weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, they are
just
drifting in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's
just bless yourself that you're in the SEC and the Big Ten.
Yeah. I feel for them because they were left out of everything. So it's hard not to. But what they're trying to do, if you're able to pull off just something, to stay afloat, to survive it, and you can be unique with it. And again, this is where I would be really curious to see how they would want to go ahead and spearhead this, because it's going to take, I think, a group and not just a commissioner with creative vision, but I think it's going to take a group to say, you have to look at every one of these schools. You have to identify, okay, what can make them and us as a conference stand out, that we can at least get some type of window, some type of eyeballs on us that is going to be appealing to you, make enough money to stay afloat. And then, as we know, in the ever-changing college landscape, maybe you're able to some extent, like the Big 12, when they were always left for dead. Yep, the Big 12 is going to be the carcass, and they will just be picked apart. If you're able to have some type of success story where you're on life support, you're able to build up enough of a conference to where there's at least some eyeballs outside of just your exclusive fan bases, and it's something. And then all of a sudden you start to build that conference where maybe you have 10 in the matter of, 5-6 years. Okay. I mean, I guess the other thing is, what other option do they have right now? What other option does Oregon State and Washington State and the two-pack have right now?
Well, remember, they're inviting them.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, you have to do something right now.
I don't think there's anybody going, oh, this is a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's kind of what you are. You
no. I'm just saying.
They had to do something.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a bad idea.
No, it's not a bad idea. I'm just saying, I think a lot of people were scoffing at the idea that this plan,
this is great. This is how it's supposed to be. Pac-12 after dark, be odd, be quirky.
Yeah, it's
all about survival. The one school, and again, maybe they're sponsored by Allstate, so North Dakota State, South Dakota State, maybe you got a chance to join the Pac-12.
Yeah, the hell of the Mountain West
is like a school like UNLV, but it's like Colorado State throws them a lifeline. Colorado State for the longest time thought they might join Colorado in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if you want smack talk, not just Shiloh Sanders at the coin toss Saturday night, listen to Colorado State. So Colorado State players are not holding back. They are a fascinating 3-9 from last year football team that got crushed by Texas in the opening week. They are talking so much noise for their game against Colorado. I bet that game is a blank show.
Yeah.
Is that a night game, Jimmy?
Yes,
in
it
Fort
is.
Collins, which, by the way, pro Fort Collins.
Yeah,
great
I love
town.
Fort Collins.
It's essentially a suburb of Denver now,
Great
as much
beer.
as Denver has grown.
Yeah, if you like your beer,
I mean,
you're going to love it.
You're driving, you're like, okay, Loveland. Oh, there's Fort Collins. I just left Denver. Small stadium, kind of unique stadium. It's nice.
New.
They drink a lot.
Yeah, and they should.
Okay,
a lot of good breweries.
Fat Tire. I think Fat Tire has their brewery.
New Belgium's out there.
New Belgium is there.
Is it New Belgium or Fat Tire?
New Belgium.
New Belgium.
One
New
of them
Belgium.
has like a brewery in the end zone.
I bet it's New Belgium.
I'm all for
That
breweries
is
in the end
going
zone.
to be that is going to be an absolute blank show.
Mhm.
If you thought last year's game in Boulder was, now they're playing in a smaller stadium where fans are right on top of you in Fort Collins.
Yeah.
They never go there.
And they've talked smack all week long, like more Colorado State than any Colorado player that I've seen. I mean, Colorado State's going to go. Yeah,
6:30 on CBS.
Oh yeah, it's the
The
Dion factor.
CBS.
Yeah, it's the Dion factor.
5:30 in Fort Collins. I want to go.
Go. It should be a good one.
I'm not made of money. Your tickets as low as
Hey,
$148.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Pac-12
Wow.
against Big 12.
Okay. All right. I thought that might.
I could go watch Rice in Houston
even with
for
the
tickets
Dion
as low as
factor
$7.
in the rivalry. I thought maybe that'd be a little more affordable. Yeah, New
it's
Belgium,
a
Odell,
smaller stadium.
some two huge breweries out there. Maybe it might be Odell that's in the end zone. I'm not sure.
I don't remember the last time the Buffs were in Fort Collins, so
When
this is
I,
a huge deal.
I went on a tour of the stadium a few years back when I did a basketball game out there.
Yeah.
It's a really, really nice stadium.
Mhm.
They used to play way off campus.
Right.
Stadium was
Huge
old.
stadium.
It was like I don't know, it was just a dungeon. And then they built this one right on campus, like not too far from Moby Arena, and it's really, really nice.
How's that campus?
It's okay.
They got mountains.
Yeah, there's not.
Yeah,
There's
sure.
not anything super special about it.
Sure, it's not awful though when you look up, off in the distance.
Good town though, fun town.
Yeah, I loved it.
All right, 7:24. When we come back, what seems reasonable Saturday night for Nebraska and Northern Iowa as Troy Dannon is in the AD box against his alma mater.
Mhm.
And I've been told that Northern Iowa's AD is a graduate of Nebraska.
Oh,
Ooh, there could be some bad blood.
Loser gets the other one's job.
and then the former AD is from Cedar Falls. Wow. Oh, I'm
And
I wasn't going to mention it.
and
Omar Brown used
Well-
to play for you, Northern Iowa. No longer on the roster.
Joe Gans used to coach at Northern Iowa. David Horn transferred from Nebraska to Northern Iowa, and he's on the central coaching staff, which you can see tonight on the CW beginning at 7.
Chris Klarvik.
Like me some David Horn.
Eric Shenander, Scott Frost.
Damn.
There's a lot of UNI Nebraska.
The
connections.
Handleys.
Yeah, house divided. It's happening. Although I didn't graduate from Nebraska, so it's okay.
Greg McDermott.
Yeah, yeah.
He lives here.
For all the Jaskers out there. See?
I mean, maybe.
I mean, everyone's got a stake in this thing.
Maybe this is Northern Iowa West. People might be saying that.
I'm fired up. This could be bigger than next week
It's
or last week.
Cedar Falls West.
Mornings with Sharpe and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, fall's just around the corner, and 1620 The Zone giving you a chance to win season passes to Nebraska's favorite fall attraction, Vala's Pumpkin Patch. You can win the 2024 passes to Vala's and enjoy all of the fall family fun that Vala's has to offer. Enter to win right now at 1620thezone.com.
Also, don't forget the 25K four-quarter pick'em. Yeah, you're going to want to get your entries in to be eligible to win $2,500 this week. Plus, you'll be in the running to score a grand prize worth $750. Do it now. Picks are open, as they say.
We did have some clarity, by the way.
Jalen Lloyd. Okay.
The question was asked by a very, very intelligent member of our 1620 The Zone team, John Bishop, that if you win, say like you win this week, and then you mentioned there's that grand prize at the end of the season as well, would you be eligible to win that? The answer is yes. So you can win twice.
Go get yourself some. Because you opened the door, and I blame you for Bad Joke Thursday.
Yep.
KG writes in, Sylvester Stallone's first divorce, it was Rocky. His second one was
Rocky 2.
Rocky 2.
Love it. That's good.
I like this.
Good.
I like this. Keep them coming.
I am all in on Tulsa King.
Oh, that's right.
I need to watch that. So they're their second season?
They are, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I need to watch that.
During the summer hiatus, they started to show it on CBS. Kind of like they did during the writer's strike when they showed Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And Yellowstone did great. I got to imagine Tulsa King has done well.
So
but the season 2 trailer, sly.
How long are the eps? Are we talking 30? Oh, they're hour. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 30 minutes anymore. I used to be used to that. Now I need at least 45 minutes because otherwise it just feels like it's gone.
Probably your age. You're asking for 45 minutes. Hey, good on you.
Yeah.
That was one of the problems with Shannon Sharpe yesterday.
Nick Handley, hero.
Yeah. Before we go any further, I'm oblivious to this.
Oh,
stuff.
are you? Okay.
Yeah, I've heard it from afar. Would you guys like to explain to someone that doesn't know what was going on with Shannon Sharpe yesterday on his IG?
Rumors have it he was having relations.
I don't know if those are rumors because
you're going to have to explain everything because I don't know anything. I don't know how this works.
It's all you, Nick. Phone's ringing.
With IG?
These are not rumors, by the way, because Shannon Sharpe did come clean with it and said he was disappointed, but he was, as Shannon Sharpe said, he was a male doing healthy male things. But yes, did not intend to
That's what
go
I said
live.
When I was at Pizza Ranch last time.
And so this was his statement after this whole thing went live. Now, there was at first there was a claim that his IG got hacked. And he said he and his team were working on it.
A lot of people have been hacked this week.
Yeah, he did own up to it.
Hey, good on him.
Yep, he
because
did.
There's a lot of people that say, I got hacked.
So
okay?
the Ocho Cinco podcast Nightcap, this was an emergency episode last night where he admitted to Ocho Cinco.
But he owned up to it.
He did. He said, I'm embarrassed for a number of reasons.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Everybody has a podcast.
Yeah, because
he was contrite.
Your out could be, a lot of people go, oh, I got hacked.
Initially, and that's what he said.
You know what? Own up to it.
Yep.
Hey, our way of doing football got hacked by Nebraska on Saturday night. You know what? Own up to it. After the game, say, you know what? That Nebraska defense was really good. I went back and looked. I'm still looking. Is Colorado ever going to credit Nebraska's defense?
So Nebraska's defense hacked Colorado's offense, is what you're saying. Yeah. He did say,
I know I'm petty.
No, it's fine.
Gene reminded me yesterday. He goes, God, you're damn petty. I'm like, Gene, I'm getting old. Okay, wait till I have no filter.
I'm already there, I was told yesterday.
I'll be going to the movie theaters, which I tend to frequent on Tuesdays because it's cheap.
Yeah.
And I feel good about myself because I'm still the youngest person in there. When you get that age, you have no filter. It doesn't matter where you're at. I'm in a movie theater and guys just comment on the movie.
Yeah. Well, the filter dissipates with age. We know that.
But at least it's good. It's good. I'm looking forward to being older.
Yeah.
And I have no filter because you're usually funny. Like I tried not to laugh because I'm sure that his wife was like, oh, Gerald.
Are you going to be the angry man that just yells at the clouds later?
No.
Okay.
That's going to be me. In fact, that's
maybe already
that's
do it.
been me since about 1988.
To put a bow on the Shannon Sharpe situation yesterday too.
He sure put a bow
where
on it.
He was getting a lot of criticism, but not necessarily that he went live, but you can make out what is being said.
Can we play it?
Your
call.
No.
Okay.
because he does refer to his member, and so it probably wouldn't be.
As a horse?
I would assume it's probably best we just avoid it. But when
And she was Michelle, right?
yeah, and so by the way, there are
Shout out Michelle.
there's sleuths that feel like based on the people he follows that they found out who it was.
That's not good.
The other part is from the time the act of getting down started to what most would take from the video, which I did listen to. And I know AI is a thing, so it would have been hard for him to deny that it wasn't him because you can tell it's him.
Don't bring up Allen
But
Iverson.
the whole ordeal doesn't last very long. So he was catching strays for that too. Like,
So not 45 minutes.
So he was not
definitely wasn't 45 minutes. Might have been closer to 45 seconds.
So he was not there going, President, we need the National Guard. We need as many men you could spare because I'm killing. What was her name? Michelle?
Michelle, yes.
Or Shelley.
She plays
Yeah,
the
Shelley.
Patriots in this role.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, that's a good thumbnail. So
Yeah.
do I need to listen to the video?
I mean, if you want a little comical relief, sure. Unk. It's kind of at first you're like, ooh, this is what it sounds like when old Unk.
So
when old
it's not
Unk gets
going
down.
Get some Unk.
So when it's not going well, that's what they call it, is some comical relief.
It is. It's comical relief because you got the very well-known voice of Shannon Sharpe and doing it in a way that is
And doing it well.
how he talks to the females when he's getting down, getting busy.
Hey, Unk don't need anybody else, man. He has built that brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like McAfee. Smart. Build your own brand. Control your own content.
And you know what?
You know what? ESPN doesn't need Shannon Sharpe. McAfee, McAfee doesn't need ESPN.
No.
I mean, Shannon Sharpe doesn't need ESPN. Going back, McAfee doesn't need ESPN. I'm hit or miss on Shannon Sharpe, even though he went hard in the paint against Dion this week. But he's built his own brand. He controls all of his own stuff.
Yeah.
So then they're like, whoa, he's got this huge following. ESPN's got to have him on. First Take with Stephen A. Smith. I don't think they use him on anything else, do they? Like, he's not on their NFL coverage.
No, I don't think
he
so.
He hasn't returned to that?
No.
Is that maybe because of his brother got out the door?
That actually could be.
Boy, when ESPN moved Sterling Sharpe out, I don't think I've ever heard from Sterling Sharpe again.
No,
he was like prominent on their NFL coverage.
Yes, he was. I would say this too, and you said attaboy as far as, well, attaboy. I mean, hey, we're always like, hey, good for you.
Attaboy for a career in the NFL. Too bad it was mostly with the Broncos.
But attaboy that he owned up to
go
it because
Broncos this weekend against the Steelers.
You talked about that brand. Think of how much more popular that brand is when you own up to it and you just said, oops, yeah, that happened, my bad. I'm embarrassed by it, but I'm moving on.
I'm probably thinking more, Nick, of you enhance your brand by having a sex tape.
I mean, it kind of was. It essentially was. You just didn't see anything,
Kids?
Which I'm kind of glad I did.
Kids, want to get ahead? Go to school. All right. Boy, this is a weird transition.
Yeah.
Is it?
I mean, depending on what we're talking about.
Yeah. We could be talking about Deshaun Watson, but instead we're going to talk to Nebrasketball Mike. Hello, Mike.
I did not ask for this.
Hello.
I did not ask for this.
Hey, didn't you get in trouble one time on Twitter?
Maybe a couple of years ago.
That's
not
okay.
recently.
Hey, we're back. We're back, baby. We're better than Mike. You're better than you've been ever. I'm happy for you.
I have a question and then a comment about beer.
A beer? Okay.
Can we back up a little bit? And the big question to me is, would the Mountain West ever consider going up to Montana and getting those two?
They're good schools.
Mm-hmm.
Go Grizz.
Maybe.
I was born in Montana. It would be fun for me to see Montana as a state go Division I. It would be fun.
Well, they are Division I. You're talking just making the Division I football, FBS football.
Yeah, the whole thing.
What were you born?
They care about football up there. They've always cared about football up there. I think it'd be a blast.
Hey, I went to a couple years ago. I went to the Montana State-Montana game.
That's right.
That was awesome. Brawl of the Wild. Mm-hmm. Great setting in Missoula.
They are so isolated up there, and they don't care.
Yeah, you know what, though? Here's the problem, Mike. So
Pullman.
I was also in Bozeman recently. I spent a lot of time in Montana for God knows why. But it is a beautiful state. They don't want you coming to their state, though, because Yellowstone is near Bozeman, and I would hear the people at Bozeman saying, hey, we got all these outsiders that are buying up our property. We just want the Montanans.
That's a thing, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
That's real.
Yeah.
They do not like their state being messed with, their land being messed with. They are very independent out there, and they're fine. Now, as far as beer is concerned, you mentioned New Belgium and Satire having a brewery in Fort Collins at the stadium.
Yep.
My old man brought Satire here.
Ooh.
It was the last big score he made before he retired.
Nice.
There's a lot of people very happy
about it. When you go to Spaghetti
that.
Works and see that bike up there in the window, my dad put that bike in the window.
Dang.
That's awesome. That's
I
pretty
like
cool.
that,
That is
Mike.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think more people need to know that story. When I go to Spaghetti Works, I'm going to tell everybody at the salad bar about it.
That's where good conversations take place, too.
It always has been.
What did you say? Spaghetti Works is underrated?
Yes. Always has been.
I do know one person who would agree with that.
You guys have to educate. I've never
I'm
been.
not going to argue with you because the Spaghetti Works on 84th that I pass always is busy. And
downtown is better for atmosphere.
It's like the Texas Roadhouse.
And I'm not going to pass up some beer cheese, so yeah.
Salad bar's real good.
Oh, okay.
All you can eat spaghetti in a salad bar?
Hey,
Come on.
You're a very snooty Spaghetti Works guy. What is your sauce of choice?
Red?
Probably white clam sauce.
Okay. I thought you might just go red.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say red too.
Good. I could get behind that. That's a lot of variety. How did you celebrate your Saturday?
Deion Sanders can go away now. We don't care. Now we can relax and we don't have to worry about them anymore. And Travis Hunter is a hell of a player. We're not going to play a better player than that. Maybe at Ohio State, otherwise, no. Put it on film, look at it, and see where we are. But, this team is headed toward at least 8, maybe 10.
Okay.
What about 9?
If we get to if we get to Ohio State and we are undefeated, 9 or 10 are out there.
Okay.
Would agree.
Yeah, that you would not be very far off.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm going to give you a little nugget because you've sworn off WrestleMania. What if?
What?
What? Well, you dog WWE all the time.
That was an attention getter.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, but here's something that's going to get you excited. What would you think about Bud Crawford fighting in Vegas the day before WrestleMania?
That would be a big deal for this town.
That would be. That would be. That's possibly in the works, my friend.
That's a big deal.
All right, you're a big deal as well. I appreciate that little nugget. Next time I go into the old market to that Spaghetti Works, which I got to look at my calendar. It might be 26 by the time I get there. I will look at the bike and know that is a tribute to your father, that he brought that
here. And also, by the way, Satire was so big when he broke in.
Yep.
That for about 6 months, it was knocking out Budweiser taps.
Bam. That's what we like to hear.
Taking down the Diesel.
It was taking down the biggest in the country.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, Mike. That is 2 straight weeks you've gotten to mention your wonderful father on the air.
You mentioned beer, I'll call in.
All right. Next hour, I'll mention your dad. I expect to call in. All right. You're a good man.
Thank you, sir.
All right. That's Nebraska ball, Mike.
So, Jimmy, you've never been to Spaghetti Works?
I have not. I don't get out often. I'm like Alf.
Like Mike, my brother-in-law loves it.
Hold on.
I know. I'm teeing it up for you.
No, I can't. I know. It's too easy. I can't.
No,
Wait,
I don't.
I totally missed. What did you say?
He said like he's like Elf. He doesn't get out. And I wanted to jump on that.
Oh, okay.
But I think, no.
He was baiting you?
That was a yesterday thing.
Just sports.
He was baiting you.
Sports. Did you guys
great show.
You guys don't know the line of DraftKings is now 32.5 for Nebraska. Continue on, Nick.
Yeah, so my brother-in-law, huge fan of Spaghetti Works as well, which we're always like, really? I mean, it's not bad. It's just why? If you are...
It's comfort.
We almost went there when we first moved here, and we ended up at the sushi place downtown.
when you're stressed at the end of the day, you go with comfort.
Yeah, it's familiar. It's an old friend. And I'm sorry, but anytime you have a salad bar,
Good salad bar.
it is a good salad bar.
Now, I have been to the Sons of Italy spaghetti feed on Thursdays. That is awesome.
But it's not the same as Spaghetti Works.
Well, no, but I just want to give a shout out to those people because I've had a good time there.
There was a time that I feel when you had the
See,
endless
I'm getting
spaghetti or the bottomless spaghetti, that I would do 4 plates back when my metabolism was racing.
Not judging, I've done the same thing.
I can't even get through like 2. The last time I went to Spaghetti Works, though, I think was pre-COVID. I don't think I've been there.
I was there 2 falls ago.
Okay.
They're always busy. I've got nothing
Did it
against
hit?
Spaghetti Works.
Did it hit?
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
I think it always hits. It's never like number 1 on your list of like, damn, you know what? I'm hankering for some Spaghetti Works.
Yeah. So I don't know who Bud would fight, but it has been proposed that Bud Crawford fights in Vegas the day before WrestleMania.
Oh. When is WrestleMania, by the way? What is the date?
After hours from Vegas.
Early
Got
April.
Okay. That'd be about right as far as the time in between fights, too. Oh.
Be a big deal. Big deal.
So I'm not the biggest wrestling fan, as you know. I was more Team WWF a long time ago. That does not mean, though, that I'd be against going, because I heard it's one of those things. Even if you're not a fan, you go see in person, you're hooked because of the athletes. It was supposed to be in
Minneapolis at the U.S. Bank. Yeah. I would be there, but now I might have to go. Have to go as a media member.
Is it coming back to Omaha anytime soon?
WrestleMania?
No, not WrestleMania, but just a WWE event, like a Raw or anything. Okay.
It seems like every 6 or 7 months.
That's the Peterman.
It's either Lincoln or Omaha.
Okay. I'm gonna make that this is gonna be my goal for the next 12 months. That if it comes back to Omaha, especially, that I will go. I will have no idea who is who, but I will go because I like seeing entertainment like that.
I think John Cena will come through Nebraska one more time.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
And Reese got a doll of him, by the way. Little action figure. He's got 4. He's got Stone Cold Steve Austin and John Cena.
You stay at home. I'll take Reese.
Okay. Oh, he'd love it.
Stone Cold got the 2 beers.
Just remember, you volunteered for that.
A lot of people call Shannon Sharpe Uncle. They actually call me Uncle.
Uncle Gary.
Eric Edholm coming up at the top of the hour to talk the NFL. Bills and Dolphins tonight, plus week number 2 with a lot of intriguing storylines. And Joe Burrow. By the way, I can't wait to see Xavier Worthy and Cam Taylor-Britt on Sunday at Arrowhead. They're going to be matched up against each other. Eric will join us at 8. Steve Sipple stops by. Brian Edwards as well on 1620 The Zone. All right. This is into the EchoBank inbox about Spaghetti Works.
Yeah, because that's a thing now.
Terry said it's the best pasta place in Omaha since 1980. Nothing close. We go every few months. Might have to reassess my relationship with Terry.
Wow.
So should I listen to Terry and go, or
You got to try it once. It's
Okay.
an Omaha
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Okay.
You try it once. You let us know. I was telling Gary off the air that the amount of places that have to have a long wait or actually be closed before I say, hey, let's go to Spaghetti Works is quite a bit.
mm-hmm.
Did you guys know that because I'm getting a couple of pictures on the highways and byways of beautiful Omaha this morning,
Nice day?
there is somebody that already has a personalized license plate that is Rule, spelled like the head football coach
Yeah?
in Nebraska.
I saw
This
one the
is
other
a-
day.
Does it say NU rules?
No, it just is Rule. It is it's a Chevy.
I just laughed because we're about to out them.
I think it's a Chevy Equinox.
An Equinox, just says rule.
Very much tinted windows.
Nice.
Oh. Is it
Is it listener Matt?
Could it be Matt Rule? He wouldn't have vanity.
Hey, I've
plates.
seen Dion's
I mean-
truck before, so you knew it was Dion.
I don't think he'd have vanity.
That would
plates.
be. I don't think you'd want to have your last name on your license plate unless somebody tricked him and said, in Nebraska, we put our last names on our license plates.
Mhm.
Yeah.
See, there's so much.
So Eric Crouch.
I've been corrected. It's a Chevy Traverse.
Oh, Traverse. Oh, well, that changes everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice vehicle.
Come on.
Mhm.
Eric Crouch
That is
in high school had just QB
Ooh.
on his license plate. And so Millard South, who, my class, they were some tricksters. Now, I wasn't part of this because this is when I was at Millard West, but during rivalry week, when they played Millard North, they stole the license plate off of his car.
Dang.
And
That's
then
not
they
nice.
they blew it up on a huge sign during the game and had the QB license plate.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
high school rivalries.
Rivalry.
Stop you prep breaking into Phelps Field to paint the rock.
Eric got the
Okay.
last laugh.
That-
He,
say,
well,
stop
not against
you.
Millard South.
Stop you, Urbandale,
Oh, I meant in life.
painting
Oh, sure.
UHS on the Ankeny Field when I was a senior, and it was kind of cool. But I wasn't as mature as I am now. I like that kind of stuff. That's actually really funny. That's very creative.
We
Like stealing the mascot from the other school.
See, that was the thing that kind of stunk about Millard West is
Tough
we
to
weren't
do that
we
anymore.
weren't
I know.
we weren't good enough to poke any other bears because it would rain upon us. So we had school on school crime.
Yeah.
We did our own pranks against each other.
All right, a couple things here. Eric Edholm.
Yeah, he'll join us.
will join us here in a little bit. So the person that is taking a picture of this vehicle, that's what happens when you're 2-0, baby. You're 0-2, you're trying to run that car off the road.
Wow.
Said that
Wow.
I'm pronouncing it the wrong way of the vehicle that has the Rule license plate.
The Traverse?
Trev verse.
Oh,
Thank you.
Traverse.
Was
Look
that
ahead,
TC?
look ahead line next Friday night, 1 week from tomorrow night. Nebraska is an 8-point favorite
Yeah.
on DraftKings over Illinois.
Mhm.
Also, put this in the back of your head, you smart people out there.
All right, I'm out.
Purdue plays Notre Dame this weekend in West Lafayette. That line went from 16 for the Irish. It's down to 10. Purdue next week. They're at Oregon State.
Mm-hmm.
If Purdue is 4-0 and Nebraska is 4-0,
Oh my gosh.
what network does the 11 a.m. game go on? So the kick time is locked.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
11 a.m.
Yeah.
But what if Purdue is 4-0 and Nebraska is 4-0? Where does that game go? Right now, it doesn't have a television network.
BTN?
It just has a kickoff.
BTN Plus?
11 a.m.
Peacock?
11 a.m.
Could we get Big Noon in West Lafayette?
But in
Maybe.
I might
Come on.
a little bit of it.
Have some fun, man. Have some fun.
So the whole goal Saturday night is to stay off the list of the top 5 biggest upsets in the history of college football. You do not want to be like Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I tell people all the time, you don't want to be like Notre Dame. Okay? You don't want to be like Notre Dame. They lost to Northern Illinois. It's one of the top 5 biggest upsets in the history of college football, in my opinion. Sorry, Michigan. You didn't get dislodged.
Yeah.
So the line has gone from 30.5. It dropped to 27.5 yesterday. Now it's back up to 32.5. Nebraska's covered 2 straight. Good teams win. Great teams cover, right?
Mhm.
So cooking with some peanut oil around here. I think reasonable on Saturday night. I saw Connor said Nebraska's going to pitch a shutout. They might.
I saw that.
Because the forward pass is very foreign in Northern Iowa.
Yeah.
They would like to run the football. Brothers and sisters
It's not going to go
that
well.
went to Northern Iowa to go to school to be teachers, God bless you because we need more.
Yeah.
You ain't running football against Nebraska. Okay, I don't care if your fullback looks like me. Okay, you're not running football against Nebraska. So when Connor tweeted that out that Nebraska might shut out Northern Iowa, I at least was like, But whatever, reasonable for Saturday night is a 5-touchdown win. Just cover.
Yep.
Keep the mo going. Remind people, this is why we're ranked. Lesser opponent who last week they were playing at St. Thomas.
Yep.
Okay?
Much respect to the athletic department at St. Thomas.
There are more people on Dodge in front of our studio right now than we're in attendance at St. Thomas. There are going to be 90K people in a night game and a lot of newbies.
Yeah.
Because some people are like, I ain't paying for an FCS game. So, like yourself, you're taking 9 woebegone people from Bennington to the game. So it's still going to be a good atmosphere. But I think reasonable, that might be a little rough about woebegones because I like a lot of people in Bennington. Might just be randos. I think reasonable for Saturday night is a 5-touchdown win. I'm not going to be, you win 42-7. I would thank it and say, hey, Human Victory Cigar got to play a quarterback. 105 guys got to play. Where's my Caleb Bennett? How come he ain't playing? Boom.
Shafe's simulation better not happen.
What was his simulation?
It wasn't good. In fact, Nebraska was down.
In that world.
Well, it was just it's fun. It's
on the video
fun.
game.
Yeah.
What were they? The
it was fun to watch.
FCS North.
FCS Northwest. Yeah.
The Pandas.
They were like teal, I believe. But it was as you like to say, attention convention, which wouldn't be good.
Now, if that's the case, then
now they were. But see, here's the other thing: is I can't help it. I usually watch like a quarter or two of it. It's just something that
too.
On this Twitch channel that I'm like, oh wow, this is kind of fun. They were slinging the ball a lot. We know that that's not what Northern Iowa does. They were slinging the ball a lot in that.
Aiden Dunn threw for 99 yards last week against St. Thomas. Yeah. I think this game will go quick because I think Northern Iowa likes to run the football.
Yep.
So I think it'll be, and they might be more time of possession, but I think Nebraska will more explosive plays. So I think reasonable is a 5-touchdown win. Don't overthink it. Yeah. Move on to Illinois.
Yeah. 42-7 sounds fine. 49-7, 49-10. I mean, you're still covering. So, and none of those scores, if you throw that out there on however you might have them covering, seems like, oh, I don't know about that, guys. Have you been watching this team? Yeah, I think that's very reasonable.
And then also the other thing to continue a theme, because people will buy into this, and this will start to ramp up, is we might need a prop bet. How soon before Northern Iowa taps out?
When you can fully tell that it's like, yeah.
That's the goal for the Nebraska defense every week is sooner the better. When do you make the other team tap out? Now, if they're not tapping out until the fourth quarter and it's a tension convention.
Yep. See, there it is.
There's a show for you.
So Northern Iowa, the last FBS team they beat, they went into Ames in 16. And they seem to cause Iowa State some issues.
Yep.
Like they're competitive against Iowa State.
They're in their heads.
This is different. I'm not overlooking Northern Iowa. I don't play the game, so it don't matter what I say.
Yeah.
It just this is a step up in class. And y'all teacher college that coming over here, that team that's holding class in Memorial Stadium for the first 4 weeks of the season, different. Valparaiso, St. Thomas, a little bit different.
Yeah. No
No offense to Valpo and Bryce Drew.
Yeah, thank you.
But
get a big shot.
Last time I checked, they're not in the Big Ten.
That is very, very true.
So
not yet.
I think reasonable. I think the line, like Michael said, Michael, who has watched film of Northern Iowa and has his own formula, which is pretty true. He said it's about 38 to 40 points that the line should be. But I was curious yesterday because that line dropped and I was like, who's out?
Yeah.
And then went back up and then it went above where it was. So it's at 32.5 right now. Yeah. If that's what you are interested in.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, I'm not.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with you saying that.
You do, you do yourself.
However you like to enjoy the game. If this is a game that you want to get very, sporting in, then go for it.
We'll discuss more of the insight of this game because I think Nebraska will be explosive. They'll like to lose some explosive stuff. Sipple join us coming at 8:30. We'll talk like that.
Yeah, that was a good Kramer.
I wish I could have been the guy from Police Academy.
Oh, the
Now there's a hero growing up.
Right. Time to go to a break. We're going to talk to Eric Edholm. He's going to talk about the NFL. Yay! Ooh, Mahomes at the touchdown. 16-20 the zone.
Oh my God. Halftime is brought to you by Omaha Whiskey Fest 2024, largest celebration of whiskey in the region. That'll be happening on September 28th, downtown Hilton, and we will have Big Red overreaction from the Purdue game. That Purdue game we just talked about, too. Yes, that will also be going on at Whiskey Fest.
All right, tonight it is the Amazon Prime debut. We get Al Michaels from Crook Street back in our life. We get a good one in the AFC East between Miami and Buffalo in Miami. And we welcome in our good friend. He's always been so kind to the radio station. Find his work at NFL.com. Eric Edholm joins us. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Hey, let's start with this game, because one of the quarterbacks in this game actually threw for over 300 yards, and that's Tua in their win against Jacksonville. It has been a discussion point the last couple of days about the performances of quarterbacks, whether they're older guys like Mahomes and Jackson aside, or some of the rookie quarterbacks who didn't play a lot in the preseason. Something or nothing that the opening week passing was down in the NFL.
Yeah, it was interesting, right? I mean, we saw the totals pretty low. It's 1 week, not a big sample size, but it did catch my eye too. And no tight end had a big game. It was sort of a strange week. There were some pretty big rushing performances. So, the field position question comes into play with the kickoff. Basically, most possessions are moving up about 3, 4, 5 yards, so that'll cut into it a little bit, but. Yeah, it was a little bit surprising. I still think we have two, the better quarterbacks in the league. Obviously, can sling it out in this one. And Josh Allen's put up some big totals against Miami, and even in losing efforts, too, has put up some pretty big numbers against Buffalo. So, I don't know if we can make any grand statements about what we saw in week 1 passing wise, but it was interesting, right? Mm-hmm. Let's check back in week 4 or 5 and see what the pace is then. If we're way down, then I think we have to do kind of a deeper dive on why passing numbers have sunk a little bit.
Eric, and I'm not saying you are in this camp, but I've noticed in a lot of people's preseason predictions when it comes to who emerges out of the AFC, you're going to get to, obviously, Kansas City. You're going to get to Buffalo. You'll see Cincinnati in some people's talk. Houston's a nice second-year story with C.J. Stroud and D'Amico Ryans, what they're doing there. You got to get further down before people really want to buy into Miami. Where are you with Miami? And is it just because they reside in an AFC that seems to be owned by Kansas City, or are there things with this organization or this roster that you're just not on board with?
Yeah, I mean, they lost Christian Wilkins this offseason. There were other defensive personnel missing. They did. One of the big changes they made was Anthony Weaver for Vic Fangio's defensive coordinator, and I think a lot of people feel like that could end up being a net positive. The Fangio thing just didn't work out. It wasn't meant to be. He's in Philly now, probably a better spot for him. So I think it was as much, if anything, as people just sort of thought they were a little bit fraudulent last year. Mm-hmm. I'm not, again, it's just the way the season ended, coming to a kind of a limp. They lost to Buffalo in week 18, then crawl into Kansas City and crawl out. Yeah. I think people just sort of feel like, well, they're not built for December and January. And this is not a team, as of right now anyway, that most people feel like is built for the long haul. So I understand the suspicion. And right now they're banged up in the backfield. Mostert and Achane are hurt. It feels like a little bit of smoke and mirrors at times. Like This is Mike McDaniel's scheme, and he's getting people open. And will he be able to kind of pull these strings for 17 weeks? I don't know, but they certainly have the firepower. And this is probably their best chance to beat the Bills since that week 4 game a couple of years ago in Miami, where the Bills were about to go in for the winning score and time ran out. So I think they're in a good position to steal one here. We'll see after that.
So Kansas City and Cincinnati play, and Cincinnati can't stand Kansas City. And we know about Cincinnati's slow starts, Eric, under Zach Taylor, 1-9 the first 2 weeks in the last 5 years. And Joe Burrow didn't have the same juice watching their game against the Patriots. So now they got to have some juice to play at Arrowhead. But back to New England going into Cincinnati and win. One of the larger upsets we've seen in a while. But what's your vibe with Cincinnati? What's going on there? Maybe it is the first 2 weeks, or is there something more about where the Bengals are at?
Yeah, obviously it's hard not to look back at their recent early season games and say, look, they've had clunkers, right? Burrow had a terrible game in week 1 2 years ago. They lost to Mitch Trubisky in overtime, and they ended up in the AFC Championship game. So there has been a pattern history of them performing slowly. Some of it probably has to do with the fact that Jamar Chase was in and out of practice. Supposedly had some kind of illness last week. T. Higgins didn't play. Joe Burrow, you could see him grabbing his wrist on the sideline. Of course, he had the wrist surgery last year. There's probably some soreness, some scar tissue there that, he's sort of working through. And, this is the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
It does bring up shades of last year when Burrow never seemed to really get fully healthy and comfortable. And, they were kind of the same team with Browning in there. And that was a little bit concerning. On the one hand, you say, look, Zach Taylor obviously can keep this ship afloat, but does that worry you a little bit that your franchise quarterback wasn't able to make a massive difference last year? All these things kind of hang over them. They lost Joe Mixon too, still kind of trying to find a run game, offensive line changes, defensive personnel sort of still adapting. And, I know they've done a good job there, usually bouncing back after a tough season defensively, but for a 16-10 loss, one possession game, it felt like New England kind of mashed them up front. And, it's about as dominant a 6-point win as you can have in this league.
Yeah.
So it's not concerning. And it absolutely is something that, heading into Kansas City, this is not where they want to be.
Eric, in a week of overreactions, there's some teams that I do want to mention that looked good that I want to ask you for real or got to give it some time, because I think I know how you would answer this, but I might be surprised here. I want to say, first of all, I thought Dallas looked really good. I thought San Francisco looked really, really good. And I want to ask you, just because it's a new offense and what Derek Carr is now in with the Saints, I get it. They're playing the Panthers, but that was a whooping, and he looked very effective. What did you take away from the Saints now and all three of those teams? Who looked as you expected and who maybe is, let's wait and see?
Yeah, this is kind of the trick of week one. How much stock do we put into a 37-point home win over Carolina? I mean, that was the biggest margin that they didn't put up this many points last year, right? I mean, this is a bad Carolina team a year ago, but they somehow looked worse too at times a year ago. So this is the tricky part when you're analyzing a team like this. I dropped them preemptively in my power rankings right before the season. It ended up being about as bad a mistake as there could have been, right? Like we're saying, you got them this low? Are you kidding me? That's a disrespect.
Right.
But Clint Kubiak came in this offseason, and we have to turn back to last year. Derek Carr actually finished the year, last 4 or 5 games, playing his best ball of the year. It wasn't enough to save Pete Carmichael, but they bring in Clint Kubiak, who sort of brings that San Francisco offense. We saw what Bobby Slowick did in Houston with that kind of system, and it looked exactly as how they wanted to look this season. I mean, this was a dream. Talise Fuaga was doing great work at left tackle. They've had all these offensive line issues, and now those seem to be gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do want to see more from them. Obviously, we can't really make too much of a judgment on 1 week. San Francisco, even Dallas, look, these teams have now been very good for the last 3-4 years.
Right.
So I think there's a little bit more of a built-up trust level with those teams.
Mm-hmm.
Even San Francisco without McCaffrey, even Dallas without guys having full training camps and whatnot, you still say, look, the offense has been in place for a while. The quarterback has been in place for a while. The major pieces have all kind of been there. With New Orleans, a little bit more turnover, a little bit more question, a little bit more volatility, I would say.
Hey, go ahead and take a victory lap because I think it's well-deserved. And I know it's one game and we're not going to overreact, but they got a running back that seems to fit. They may not have any wide receivers that They still got Justin Herbert. They got Joe Alt blocking Mason Crosby. They beat the Raiders. You have been on the Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers train. Go ahead, take a victory lap here because I think it's well-deserved, even though it's week one.
I better do it now before things fall apart, right? That's a good. I appreciate you teeing me up very nicely on that. Yeah, because it's hard to know. I mean, I think they're going to have to win a lot of 22-10 type of games. I think that's really going to have to be the formula this year. We sort of thought of the Chargers in recent years as a team that had to win 38-35, had to survive defensively. And week one wasn't perfect. They had some mix-ups defensively, but they held the 10 points. they also benefited from the Raiders punting on 4th and 1 at the Chargers 43 with 6-7 minutes left and down a score. So, there was some passivity that they took advantage of there. But, the run game, what I appreciated most was nothing was really happening in the first half, and they kept with it. They kept pounding. Jim Harbaugh has said the offensive line is the strength of this team. He had to go out there and kind of demonstrate that. And J.K. Dobbins got loose a little bit, and they did kind of inflict their will a little bit. They get Carolina this week. Even in Charlotte, I expect them to be 2-0, even if it's not pretty. After that, they're going to have to get better offensively. Justin Herbert's going to have to find that rhythm. Those receivers have to get their separation. I was disappointed with Joshua Palmer week 1. And, of course, defensively, just tightening the screws because you can see the problem areas against a more functional team. But, hard-nosed. Jim knows how to bring people together quickly, and I think that's kind of his superpower.
Eric, again, going back to potential overreactions from week 1, does Cleveland have a quarterback problem given what they're paying for Deshaun Watson?
Cleveland has a team problem, really, at this point. And there were obviously signs of it last year. I mean, they had this amazing defense. All these injuries come hitting them, including to Deshaun Watson. They get crippled on both sides of the ball. They limp into the playoffs. And this offseason, I really didn't know what to make of him because the last we saw of Watson last year, he had that great half against the Ravens, and then he's done for the year. Shoulder injury out. That's it. And so the last memory we had was actually a pretty good one. What we saw Sunday did not bring back flowery memories of what was going on last year at the very end. So I think they have a quarterback problem. I think they have an identity problem. I understand that defense in some games is going to be able to inflict their will and create enough turnovers and enough havoc to give the offense a chance. But boy, until those offensive tackles are back, until Nick Chubb is back, until Deshaun Watson resembles an NFL quarterback again, now cloaked with more, another charge related to that thing that probably he thought it was in his rearview mirror, or I don't know. Again, he says he didn't hear about it before the game, and so you never really know. Maybe they timed up the release of that story prior to kickoff or right around it. I don't know. Whatever the case, he's got a lot on his plate, and the fans are not in his corner. I think they were willing to come into the season thinking, fresh start, let's see what we got. Maybe he's sort of cleared the mental hurdles and the physical hurdles. There's just so much going on there. Right now, I mean, we're on pace for that to be the worst contract in NFL history, the worst transaction in NFL history because of the expectations unmet and the financial cost of it.
Yeah. Eric, as always, we appreciate it. Fine work. Enjoy week 2 of the season as well, and look forward to your next round of power rankings.
Well, you're the only one. Everyone else hates it.
No, they're great. I mean, they're honest. I enjoy them. I seriously do. So great work as always.
I appreciate you very much for saying that. Thank you. Yeah, I don't mind being a little different than everybody else. That's okay with me. So
thank
you. Enjoy the game.
That's Eric Edholm from NFL.com. Buffalo, Miami tonight. Miami 2.5-point favorite. Tua was the only quarterback to throw for over 300 last week. You know that Josh Allen, who was pretty good. I mean, neither one of these teams looked great out of the box. If Josh Allen, just think about Josh Allen, and if they could just get a running back to run for maybe 50 yards a game, what that would do to their offense.
Yeah. Well, and it's not Josh Allen that's running for 50 yards.
Yeah, no, it's simple. Just a
exactly.
running back.
Just an actual running back.
Running back for at least just 50 yards a game.
Yeah.
What that would do to Buffalo's offense.
Yeah. And I like James Cook. He's shown that he can do that at times, but the whole part of what Buffalo does, and it feels like this happens a little bit more later in the season, because I think with what you're suggesting right there, of, hey, if they could have that type of balance, what it could do for a quarterback that can get off of platform, can get off of script and still make plays because he's such an athlete, and Josh Allen, that they want to have that balance. It always seems like, and I'd almost have to go back and look if that's the case when it comes to the amount of carries that Josh Allen has from the first half of the season to the second half. It doesn't always seem like Josh Allen is taking on that role in the second half of the season. That there's more of the emphasis of them running the football via Josh Allen. Maybe that's by his own doing than what they actually have planned. And I don't think it's any wonder that you start to see him. His numbers don't necessarily fade, but when you got to make a big play, when you got to, especially in tighter games like the playoffs, that he's a little bit off because he does take on a lot of that. Their ability to be physical up front, but also have that type of quarterback. It kind of goes back to what we talked about with college in the play action game too. If you can do that, like what you're suggesting, not even a guy that's going to run for 150, 125 yards a game, but a guy that's just going to give you 50 to 75 yards consistently per game, how that would help Josh Allen, I think, from week 1 to week 17.
You got some issues in the back end for Buffalo, and I think they're slow, and I think it's going to be tough with Hill and Waddle. I like Miami tonight, and Miami on a Thursday night. We're in the throwback uniforms. But what I'm looking forward to, I think we're going to get peak Al Michaels. Like he's starting to go. He's starting to get to the end of the yellow brick road.
Yeah,
and I think you will get like peak for this year Al Michaels, and he'll be on one tonight.
Well, it's a good game too.
But I like Miami. I like Miami covering it 2.5.
The game itself, my favorite moments of Al Michaels during the Thursday night prime games were Jimmy brought it up earlier, the Washington-Chicago matchups, because it's like he's just pissed off to be there. And I don't blame him.
I was mad to be watching it, but here I was.
Yeah, but I don't blame him. But yeah, I think these types of games, it'll get the blood boil. He'll be fine.
I would also go the under because I think Buffalo will be really slow. So I would go the under.
I just want Josh Allen to have a decent game. They don't have to win. Just have a good game.
Speaking of James Cook, I actually do need him to have a good game.
See, everyone have a good game.
I need Dalton Kincaid as we're talking fantasy football.
He's in my rotation.
Maybe catch something for so that the concepts of a plan can win this week.
I second you on that. I need him to get going. We have a good team.
I'm going to take Buffalo tonight, by the way. Take Buffalo outright.
Let's go jump through a table.
I think they get this one 24-20.
Pac-12 is official.
Yeah, it's happening.
Yep, it is. It is moving forward. Actually, the Pac-12, the Pac-6 is official. They need to find 2 more teams. And if you have missed the Chasing 3, which is out there, Shiloh Sanders, we're ready to roll you, bro.
We're gonna roll you, bro.
That's not nice.
And he woke up. They film everything.
Yes.
So they had him after his surgery when he realized where the injury occurred.
Yeah.
Oh.
Why isn't 4th string offensive lineman Jake Knuckleson ever on video?
That's a name.
It is essentially like 3 or 4 guys and then coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Like they put one out.
Knuckleson.
They put one out on TikTok. Their defensive line coach is like ripping their defensive lineman a new one.
Warren?
Warren was standing there, but it was their head defensive line coach. He was just ripping them about the way they played against Nebraska. I also,
that's good.
After consuming Colorado football content last week, and then watching it, you know what is one of the worst jobs right now in college football?
No.
The offensive line coach at Colorado.
Oh, I thought you meant just like in general.
Because if the kid gets touched, your ass is on the line.
Did you see
worst job to have? Why would you sign up to be the offensive line coach with Shadur Sanders at quarterback?
Yeah,
you guys could block and block and block well, and then on 3rd down there's a breakdown.
He gets tapped once.
They don't convert. Yeah, you get called to the principal's office.
Shadur could maybe hold on to the football a second or two too long, where it could be more on the quarterback than the offensive line, but it's not going to be the accountability factor on him. Now, speaking of the offensive line, because this was also speaking of bookmarks.
Day number 5, your bookmarks are going to get less.
Well, the bookmarks.
By the way, where's Buff Josh? That'll be 5 days. He's avoided me.
Coward. We learned though that a lot of Nebraska fans bookmarked the video that it was right before. It would have been fall camp. I want to say it was a week before they got into the season in preparation for NDSU. And they weren't on pads, but it wasn't Seton. I think it was the guy from Indiana. He was blocking another guy one-on-one. Again, they're just in shirts and shorts. And it was a Colorado Buffalo count. And it said, this O-line will be different this year. Didn't age well. That one was.
They were different. They're worse.
Yeah, exactly.
that one got a lot of run over the
Wasn't
last
half
48
bad.
hours.
It was all bad.
A lot of people bookmarked that one.
They're gonna throw 60 times Saturday night in Fort Collins.
6:30 on CBS, by the way.
They might
For
run
everyone who hasn't heard yet.
They might run thrice.
Who
2 TV night.
who's doing the game?
I will let me 506 sports this, and I will have an answer for you shortly.
It's a Brad Nessler. No, it's not Brad Nessler.
I mean,
it can't be.
Wait, that's doing some ball glazing. I mean, that happened in Colorado.
Well, okay. The CBS.
Oh, here we go. Rich Waltz, Ross Tucker.
Okay.
Rich Waltz used to call the Big Ten games on ESPN back in the day.
Tucker is pretty good. He's a good radio guy.
I like Ross Tucker.
Okay, so
yeah,
so he won't be like afraid to go there. I don't think.
Yeah.
But he might be okay going there because he played at a fairly higher level in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yogi's here, so you
would
get a chance to visit.
Do we know though? Is CBS? We talked a lot about ESPN being part of this, and then as we saw, NBC was a little bit there with Burmeister and Colt McCoy of the Dion and the hey, we're gonna prop them up as much as we can and not.
No, people
go
are
there.
afraid of them.
Is CBS afraid of them? That's what I'm curious. I don't know.
I wouldn't be.
That's what I'm curious.
They're not
See
in
how
Colorado.
CBS is going to be
on
with them.
ESPN and NBC the first 2 weeks.
They should have Sean Keeler as part of their crew. Let's go all in.
Let's go down to our sideline reporter, Sean Keeler.
Sean's with Coach Prime. Dion.
Oh.
I think I have a prop bet, by the way.
That would be good.
I think I have a prop bet with Josh. Said who will last longer in Colorado?
Oh,
Sean Keeler or Deion Sanders?
Deion.
I got Sean.
I said Sean.
He likes it there.
Sean's got a big old barrel of ink.
I had that conversation with Josh, by the way. He would disagree.
Oh, I know he does.
Okay.
He does. Yeah. He also thinks they're going to the playoff.
You can buy tickets.
Did he really say that? He didn't say that.
I'm sure.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't.
I'm sure
say
in a
that.
flurry of texts when he was telling me how great Colorado was, he did.
He still says 9-3.
5 days. 5 days. Haven't seen him. Not a word. Not a peep. I don't think he's on vacation. No, not a peep.
I have not seen him.
Come get your
all week,
whooping.
but I did
Come
hear
get your
he has
whooping,
been
boy.
down here.
Hey, you guys have both not seen him. I've seen him twice this week, and not counting on the video board in the lobby.
Oh, we had a good chat on Friday before I left.
He avoiding yours truly.
You guys got after each other.
I told him I have 3 beverages with your name on them on November 23rd.
Yeah.
Feel bad for him, but he'll be back at Memorial Stadium on Saturday night. So will Steve Sipple. He joins us next on 1620 The Zone. The segment was Stephen M. Sipple of 93.7 The Ticket on 3.com. Never lets us down. He joins us now.
Yeah.
Good morning, Sip.
How we doing?
We're doing well. How are you doing?
Good. Just be tolerant. I'm at the drive-through, but I think I can pull this off.
What are you getting?
Oh, no.
What are you
Are
ordering?
we at McDonald's?
Yeah, I'm at McDonald's. I got just a regular coffee with some oatmeal.
Oh, okay. What kind of oatmeal? Just plain oatmeal?
Fruit and maple oatmeal. Yeah, they put some raisins and apples on there.
Nice.
Now,
there you go.
have you already gone through? Have you ordered and now you're in line to pay and get your food, or are you past?
Yeah, no, I've already ordered.
Okay, so keep with us. When we get to the drive-up window, let's have a conversation with the McDonald's employee.
Yes.
No, we're not doing that because he's got a head. I'm right there, and he has a headphone on, and it's loaded. We're in a long line situation.
So he ain't got time for that bull
He
junk.
don't got time to jack around, and I know these people. They don't jack around. They're good. That one on 27th and Vine is
Yes.
I'll drive out of my way to go to this one. This is my second trip through here this morning.
Well,
I went 5:30, and now this is kind of my second round.
Nice.
I prefer the one on Cornhusker Highway at about 56th.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is always busy. They got to be better though with efficiency, but that's beside the point. It's
we
a
all
nice
got to be
stop.
better with efficiency. We all have to be better.
Yeah,
Okay. You're right. You're
Okay,
right.
so let's attach that to Nebraska football. 2-0 Sip. How are you feeling about what you've seen through 2 games?
Well, I mean, it just depends what area you're talking about, but generally good. What I've been saying all week is I think they need to start cutting loose a little bit on offense. What does that mean? To me, it just means a little more playbook, a little more throwing it downfield. I think. Oh, 1 second. I think that. Thank you. I think the theme, if I were the head coach, would be I want more offensive aggression, particularly in the second half. Let's get some momentum going offensively going into the Big Ten. Dylan's ready for it. Is everybody else ready for it? You know, that's what I'd like to see.
And as there's been the various challenges from this coaching staff to this team, especially with Matt Rule, you mentioned with Dylan and matching that intensity as well. What do you anticipate that looking like on Saturday against an FCS team where obviously the juice, the buildup externally is not even close to what it was a week ago against Colorado?
What do I think the home team's intensity will look like?
Yeah, just as far as matching that intensity and you know, I'm maybe more interested in the offense as far as the things that they've been sort of called out on.
Well, I mean, it helps it's a night game. That helps the defense more, obviously, but I just would like to see a little bit the offense to be a little more dialed in. And I'm talking about play calling too. I want to see something that resembles a grand plan. You know, something that is that you can tell they're building towards something. But the second part of it is, I'll just reiterate, I think it just turned Dylan loose more.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's shown through 2 games that you don't have to be overly careful with him. So let him throw it downfield a little bit more. Also, though, I would try to be a little more imaginative in the run game. It's not you can't do that much. I would get Barney going more because he's so electrifying. They've done okay that way, and stuff got called back. I get that, but I think you got to get him more involved. There's some players you want to get more involved. I think you want to get Fedoni more involved. This is a week where you can do some of that, where you can dictate that. Sometimes when you're playing, you can't really dictate those things because you're just in a scrap, and you got to kind of do what you got to do. But this should be a game where you can kind of fix some stuff, emphasize some stuff, tune up some stuff. This isn't really a defensive discussion. It's an offensive discussion and a special teams discussion.
I agree with you. I think this is a week to go deep, to test it out, to stretch the field and let Dylan stretch out the arm. But it's going to take wide receivers. Sip, why are we still having this discussion about Garrett McGuire's group now with a couple of new faces? We still are talking about inconsistent perimeter blocking, the inability to have separation, explosive plays, minor details, route running. Why are we still having this discussion about wide receivers?
I don't know. I mean, again, there's another player I'd want to add to this discussion about getting the ball to more is Jalen Lloyd. I think that's another one. That's another player you try to get a little more involved. As far as your question goes, I mean, some of it might just be you have some new faces in there, a couple new key new faces. Some of it is, I mean, maybe it's a little nitpicky, and they're just looking for ways to motivate. That might be some of it. But if you do look at it, the perimeter block wasn't good. I don't know. I don't know how to explain some human behavior. Some human behavior to me just sort of defies explanation. I don't. Why on earth would there be sort of lackluster effort in that game? It doesn't make any sense to me, except in this day and age of transfers now, guys, it's very transactional in nature. College football is a little more transactional now, and they don't feel the affinity. They don't feel for the program that you feel. Mm-hmm. Like we care deeply about that program, but not every guy over there does. I mean, they don't have that. They don't have those deep roots. So I don't know. It's just human behavior. You never quite know. There's teams all over America that don't show up every Saturday ready to play, and I don't know how to explain it. There's no explanation.
Okay, with the wide receiving conversation, and just in 2 games, I want to get your assessment of how the offensive line plays a role in that as well, because we saw it a lot more against Colorado, where it seemed like even though Dillon at times was able to stay poised in the pocket when he was throwing it, and the numbers with 10 yards or less were fantastic, there was pressure on him as well. What has been your assessment in all of that coming to fruition, especially in the passing game, with how the offensive line has protected?
Well, I mean, I think that when you talk about the passing game, there's a lot. It's hard to just pinpoint one area and say this is the reason why it wasn't what they wanted. It oftentimes it's a combination of pass blocking, it's receivers not finishing strong at the top of their routes. You're seeing that. Matt Rule referred to the fact that Dillon wants to make certain throws and the receiver's not available because he didn't get to his landmark in time. I mean, you saw that during the Frost era. I mean, you had some receivers that literally just couldn't get to the landmark that they needed to get to. So yeah, you're seeing some of that. There's a lot that goes into it. Now, none of this is reason to panic at all. I mean, this is sort of, to me, it's kind of early season talk and stuff that a lot of teams have to get ironed out early in seasons. It wasn't perfect, but I don't really expect it to be perfect. I don't think we should expect it to be perfect 2 games in. I understand where Gary's coming from with the question. It is sort of maddening that they have that kind of problem. You know what else is maddening about it is what Satterfield said, that they had the problem in camp.
Right. Yeah.
With the perimeter blocking part of this, that they weren't strong in that area in camp, and it didn't get addressed properly, apparently. But it'll be addressed properly this time because the head coach put everybody on notice. I mean, this wasn't a great week for the receiver room. It wasn't a great week for Ed Foley. The head coach is interesting that way. He's very public in his comments, which I like. I mean, we love transparency. And I appreciate how transparent he is, but it's put some pressure on some guys this week.
Well, and why I bring it up, and I want to shift over to defense, but I get it. Everybody's learning each other. I think they're still learning each other's roles. You talked about Jalen Lloyd. He's got a hammy that he's coming back from, but he's healthier coming into this game than he was in the previous 2. It's the effort. Garrett McGuire used the word effort, and I went, yeah. But there is no discussion of effort on the defensive side of the ball, Sip, There's so many things to pick out and go, man, this defense through 2 games, they are as advertised. But could I use the word this defense to the opposition is fearful, and you might vibe with me? And not only fearful about what they're able to do because they're a smart defense, but man, they got some dudes on that side of the ball that are out to put a licking on guys. I mean, they hurt Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the old days, Sip. You look at Colorado's injury report, you would say, oh, they must have played Nebraska. That's what it was like way back, a long time ago. That might be the new defense. Thoughts on the defense through 2 games?
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right in that this is the way it is going forward. The defense imposed its will on the game. The defense took control of the game early in the game. It shut the door on Colorado by halftime, and it was largely a defensive discussion. You're right. I hope that's what we're talking about. There's pretty strong evidence Saturday. I wouldn't have guessed. I'm in that camp that came out of that game going, wow, never expected Nebraska to hold Colorado to 10. I did not. I wrote a column when I interviewed George Darlington. George is smart. George watches the games intently. George watches practices intently. He expected a shootout. He said he never dreamed Nebraska would hold Colorado to 10. Joe Klatt picked Colorado to score 34. Joe Klatt's exceedingly intelligent. No, this is, I came out of that first half and really the whole game really impressed with how they defended Colorado. Rule though expected it, which was that he talks so fast, but he says, if you listen, he says some fascinating things. And for him to, he whipped through it so fast, but he expected 40 to 10, basically. I mean, he thought it was that kind of game. He thought that his team could win 40 to 10. Wow. I thought it would be a close game. I thought Colorado would score a lot. But I would say the defense, my reaction, Gary, was I was sitting up there in the press box going, I think the defense is, I knew it was good. I think it's better than good. And it's probably a little better than I expected. But as you know, it's a week-to-week conversation.
Yeah. Hey, do you guys still have Lee Sterling on in the mornings on the ticket?
He predicted Colorado to win 48 to 45.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yep, same with us
Thank
too.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were blown away. Not by, there were other people that picked Colorado win, but the fact that he said they would score 48, we were jaw-dropping. And we were up against it because he had an out to do another show in Pittsburgh at 8, so we couldn't go, Lee. I mean,
yeah,
we probably have to have some speaks with him, Sip.
Yeah, I just thought I still think the defense has. We always say, a lot of people around here say it's a great defense. I'm not doing that. I'm not putting a tag on. I didn't see great defense last year. I didn't. I'm always kind of taken aback when people say it was a great defense last year, because it wasn't. They didn't get off. There's too many instances where they didn't get off the field when they needed to.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good. Now I wonder, are we looking at a great defense? That's again, week to week. It did look like a great defense to me last week.
And Sip, watching that performance, because I think we're all on the same page. I mean, that was just it was incredible given the skill position talent that Colorado has. I can't decide if it's we know this defense has individuals that are really good. They're built the right way, but I couldn't help. Gary brought this up with the pick six, which I think was a really good example of other guys doing their job. And I know Matt Rule talked about this on Monday as well. Other guys doing their job that led to Shedeur throwing it out there towards the flat where Tommy Hill makes, jumps the route. The assignment soundness of this defense.
Oh, yeah.
Was this game more about that than just having dudes on that side of the football?
I hate to do this to you, but it is bold.
Mm-hmm.
They are assignment sound. They should be assignment sound. I mean, it's a 7 seniors that start on the defense, 4 juniors. You're not going to have that all that often. 7 seniors, 4 juniors in the starting lineup. Second year in the system, and it is sound. And hell, it was sound last year.
Yeah.
Those guys locked in and learned that defense at a high level. Now, year 2. Now, that cuts both ways. Big Ten teams, they got film on Nebraska now. So there's also that part of it. But man, they do work together. It's a very much a team defense.
Yeah, it is.
But you do have some guys now that are going to another level, it looks like, to that kind of first team Big Ten talk, first team all Big Ten talk, like Ty and Tommy Hill.
Yep.
And Bullock, hell, played at a super high level for stretches of that game. But I'd say Tommy Hill and Ty Robinson, they look like first team all Big Ten level players to me. And that's what takes it to another. That's what takes the defense from, they're good. That takes it to great.
Yep.
If you can have, just 2 first team. I'm not talking about, people always say, well, I mean, he was an all Big Ten player. Wait a second. What are you talking about? Well, he's third team. That doesn't count. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about first team all Big Ten. Tommy Hill, Ty Robinson, they look like that to me right now.
Great stuff, Sip. We appreciate it. So does McDonald's. A double timer at McDonald's before 9. That's a pretty impressive.
Bill Bush says, Sipple, you go to McDonald's 600 times a year, and I think he's probably right.
Oh, 600 times a year.
Do you use the app?
No, I will not touch that app. No way.
Discounts.
That is points. True. Yeah, that is true.
You get free fries on Friday.
I mostly just drink coffee. I mean, I did get the oatmeal, but I rarely eat the food.
Okay.
Well, McGriddles aren't bad.
All right.
Or a McBiscuit.
All right. They do have good coffee. Sip.
Oh, the food is good. It's extraordinary, but I just can't, at my age, eat a lot of fast food.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. Stick to the good stuff.
So.
Sip, thank you. Always great stuff. We'll see you on Saturday.
All
right. There's a lot of nuggets, not only what Sip just said. You got to use that app, man.
You did that.
Hey,
I know. I've been told.
McDonald's for me is the Diet Coke.
Yeah.
You're not kidding about that, by the way.
But I have the app. Ice cream and Diet Coke. I go to my Pizza Ranch to get my chicken and my ice cream. And I go to McDonald's to get my Diet Coke and my ice cream.
Is the pizza good there?
At Pizza Ranch?
Yeah. I've never been to. I've had Pizza Ranch. I've never been to one.
The only time I went was the one in Columbus. It was they had a chicken bacon ranch one that was okay. Again, I was left flat with the chicken. It's fine, but people like yourself, you go there for the chicken.
Chicken's a banger, man. Good white meat, thick.
Maybe they just didn't
skin
do it
just rolls right off the meat,
especially when sunburn.
There's a lot of stats in the first 2 weeks for pick through with Nebraska's defense.
I'm sorry. You're describing the chicken from Pizza Ranch as if it is a 5-star experience.
Oh, you're talking about chicken?
It's fine.
It's usually thick. It's like juicy.
Oh my God.
And the skin. Maybe one of the most impressive stats of the defense, and there are many to pick from. Shedeur Sanders, QBR. Last year, his lowest QBR was 35.6. If you're into that stat, that was their loss at Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to take a gander at what his QBR was Saturday night in Lincoln after his brother said, "We about to roll you, bro"?
Yeah, this was like
8, and Ty Robinson 8.
Yeah, 8. This was in the 20s, was it not?
24.4. Yeah. The lowest QBR for Shedeur Sanders at Colorado happened on Saturday night.
It was that high?
23 of 38, 60.5%. Touchdown interception.
Yeah.
Just remember him running
for comparison's
life.
sakes, against North Dakota State, it was 81.9.
Yes. Well, and there was also the sorry, it's just awesome. There was also the whole comparison to how dominant Nebraska's defense was against this offense. A lot of that comparison to when people look back, Colorado hasn't suffered a loss like that since Oregon. So I think the optics of that was also very similar to Oregon. And then, as we've been talking about chasing 3 today as well, we didn't have the clicks versus hits type thing said by Matt Rule. One of my favorite things that he said, there's 2 things that he said that I even had to write down because I was like, wow, I like that. We suffer now, so they suffer in the fourth quarter. Love that. And then the other part was when he's calling his defense out, when the scout team is actually having their way with them. And this is where I thought the challenge was like, damn, if you're a competitor and that doesn't get you right there, I don't know what to say for you. And that was when, you know what I think is, I can't remember. I think he said, I think he did swear. They bleeped it out. He said that they talked all of that knowing that they had to play you the following year in Lincoln. That they still, knowing that they're going to have to come back here, and they still talked that. That's what I think. And again, it just, there was a lot of content.
You mean on the hype video, them catching Jimmy Horn running over to the Nebraska fan section in Boulder, and where the players were
Tell him to go
on the field?
home. Yeah. Tell him to go home. Yeah. Like all of that, making that comparison where there was the one viral moment Dan Lanning has before they go out, and that got made a big deal about, and how Oregon played up to it. This was after the fact of what Nebraska did, but now you're seeing how they built this thing up, how these guys just kind of kept it all within in-house, and then they came out like a bunch of bad dudes. That was sweet.
All right, 56 past the hour. People have lots of questions about Sip and his trips to McDonald's. He's always been a McDonald's guy. That's we haven't gotten him in the drive-thru in a while.
It's pretty good coffee. He's not wrong.
Yeah. And Carlos O'Kelly's.
That Diet Coke, you weren't kidding though. I had not too long after you said that, and might need one today.
I'm not a pop guy, so
soda.
I'm either one.
Soda.
I call it pop.
Thank you.
Soda.
Team soda for life.
I grew up calling it pop, but I also came from a group. I won't even say it was my family, but that we also did refer to the donuts as cookies every now and then. So
I grew up as a pop guy, moved to a soda place, come back, walk into my grocery store, pop. America. No. Eight. All right. We got to take a break. Brian Edwards coming up a little bit later on 1620 The Zone. Excuse me?
Let's sing it about winter weather.
To wrap up the hour, here is Charlie on the 42 Degree The Source hotline. Good morning, Charlie.
Morning, guys. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. First off, just kind of wanted to say how confident and excited I am in this team. It finally feels like we have juice, and it also finally feels like we're culturally in line with the times, which I don't know if we've really ever been in the last 20 years. It always felt like our culture was kind of stale inside and outside the program. But question for you is, we've been hearing from the media kind of off season and in season that, 7-0 was really likely, and we're going to be 7-0 heading into Ohio State. Don't want to overlook Northern Iowa. But with this 4-game Big Ten stretch with Indiana, Purdue, Rutgers, and Illinois, just was curious which of those games you guys thought would be the most difficult or hardest game to get through.
Charlie, thanks for the phone call. Good point on the culture.
Yeah, I agree with that. Rutgers for me. The Purdue game, it's not necessarily as much as the opponent is. I think it's an odd game that'll be the first time on the road. It's an 11 a.m. game, Ross-Ade Stadium. I know we were thinking about, hey, if Purdue was undefeated, what network might have it? Maybe there'll be a little bit more juice in there. But Rutgers, for me, Indiana's interesting with what they've been doing offensively. But, yeah, Rutgers is still the one for me.
All 4.
I like that answer.
You sound like me. I worry about every
Nebraska
game.
next Friday night will play the best team they played all year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yep, absolutely.
Purdue could be 4-0. First road game. A little bit quirky, 11 a.m.
Yep.
Then you come home and you play Rutgers. Rutgers is going to challenge Nebraska. They're going to say, hey, so in the first 2 weeks, you've only given up 72 yards total rushing. Do you know that we're on pace to run for 1 million yards? They actually average 307 per game. And they have a running back who is one of the better running backs in the Big Ten, could be on pace for 2,000. And then you have the quirky Indiana. He's a really good football coach. They haven't played anybody. They actually have played somebody because they've showed up and played them. But their schedules, this weekend, keep an eye on Indiana. Indiana goes out to the Rose Bowl. Pretty cool for Indiana fans. You know what? They said, you guys are going to the Rose Bowl in September. But the next 4 games, I'm not, I wasn't someone that stamped 7-0. Is it obtainable? Hell yes. Mm-hmm. It's not fighting against it. But the toughest opponent Nebraska's played all year will walk in here on Friday.
Yeah.
Nebraska is right now is an 8-point favorite. There's just some quirkiness. My thing I want to see this weekend is how do you handle people are talking about you?
Mm-hmm.
Not just the quarterback. And by the way, I got trolled yesterday by the Kansas City media. They asked Mahomes about Mahomes.
Yeah.
When I said, just let the kid be his own. And then Mahomes had to respond, and then I had to get all giddy and go put on my Patrick effing Mahomes shirt.
Yeah.
I want to see how they deal with success, because a lot of people are talking about Nebraska. Justify the reason why people are excited.
Yep.
Because there's a lot to be excited about. Now just justify it another week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no hiccups. You look like a well-oiled machine that won this football game on Saturday night before you ever kicked off.
Right.
And then on to the next one.
And I know the last 2 days we've talked a little bit about what we'd like to see, how the offense opens up a little bit, looks a little bit more in sync. I would say from the point you just brought up there, defensively, that Northern Iowa has 0 shot. And that's evident in the first 3 possessions. As dominant as Nebraska was against Colorado, and the way that they came out and just punched them in the mouth, and they set that tone, that you have that already in the minds of Northern Iowa before they even get to the second quarter. That the defense also, you're not having some breakdown of assignments. There's not cutback lanes where all of a sudden, they're able to bounce one for a big play. Just that assignment soundness that I was talking to Sip about, that I thought stood out more than anything, of what they were doing in certain situations of that game, where it just looks like a group that is completely understanding of their assignments, and they executed at a high level. That doesn't waver one bit against Northern Iowa.
All right, last hour, Brian Edwards will join us. A chance to make some money. He's the anti-Lee Sterling. He didn't even touch the Nebraska-Colorado game. Lee will be on at 7:50 tomorrow. I'm not starting a fight with Lee. We'll just ask him about why he thought that it would be 48-45 and was his reaction to Nebraska winning 28-10.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
It is fair. It is fair. Absolutely, it is fair. And he'll give us his insight on what he thought. And knowing Lee, I'm sure he'll say, yeah, damn, was I way off?
He had a bad week last week. He went 1-4. B. Edwards coming up at about 9:45 on 1620 The Zone. All right, Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State officially set to join the Pac-12. Rough day for the Mountain West Conference. Last hour, mornings with Sharpe and Handley. Do you guys know that as I speak, and I'm watching this here, the SpaceX crew. So it is 4 civilians that are going to do some spacewalking today. Do you guys know that there are 19 people that are currently orbiting the Earth?
Seems like a lot.
That is the most.
Yeah, seems like a lot.
Now,
I hate traffic.
There's the 2 that are stuck on the International Space Station, right?
Yes, and why is that not being made a bigger deal, by the way?
Because I don't think they're in danger.
I know.
Yeah.
It just
They're going to miss football season, but they'll be back eventually.
Sometimes you're stranded on the side of the road and you're not necessarily in danger, so to speak, until you get to a certain time of the day or whatever. And then it's like, okay, it's a little dicey. Maybe you're losing maybe that cell phone's going dead.
Hawaiian tropic bus
I just
stops.
feel like if you are beyond Earth, if you're outside of the Earth and you're stuck somewhere, I feel like that would be cause for panic. That's just me. I know if I was stuck somewhere, like, don't worry, we got you. Am I fully buying into that?
Like 6 weeks in the bathroom.
My anxiety would be a little bit, excuse me, my anxiety would be up there. It'd be very Dante Dowdell-ish. He's an anxious guy.
Okay.
We know that. You wouldn't be, if you were stuck in space, you wouldn't be, even if they said, you're good. Don't worry. We'll get there. You got everything you need.
I'd worry if I had to tap
that wouldn't freak you out?
No responsibility. I just hang out in space till they come get me. I love that.
What if they didn't come and get you? What if they kept delaying? What if they said, you know what? I know we were supposed to be here earlier today. It's going to be now another week.
You don't have any chores. You don't have to mow the lawn.
You have to mow the stars.
You can wake up whenever you want. They'll just alert you in the spring. Hey, the Russians are coming up to get you.
Ooh.
They're going to bring you home.
Yeah.
They're like, okay.
Yeah, why not?
All right.
They seem like they know what they're doing.
We'll wait for Ivan Drago.
I think if they were in danger, there would be more of but 19 people currently are orbiting the Earth.
Have you ever wanted to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I just don't know enough about space at weighing the pros and cons of that and the risk of it. I'd be a little nervous.
If you ever get a chance to go see a, we don't have the space
launch
shuttle anymore.
Yeah,
launch.
That would be really awesome.
The part of Florida that I lived in,
Mm-hmm.
you could watch it on TV at Cape Canaveral.
Yeah.
And then about 3-4 minutes later, you could go outside and look up in the sky and you could see the trail.
So how close have you been?
It's been, like a long way away.
Can you hear, feel all of that?
Yeah.
That would be pretty sweet.
Didn't we all want to be an astronaut at one time? For
I never did. Not that
I saw aliens as a kid.
My mom would have to weigh in on this because there are parts of my, between birth and maybe 3 or 4 years old that I don't remember a lot of my aspirations then. Maybe I did then. I probably was concussed a lot. I don't know. I had 3 older brothers.
No reaction to Ditka being hired in 82.
Yeah. Really, I don't know. I'm sure my little inner Ditka in me was very excited.
Jesus, Jimmy.
From the Landry tree.
Hey, that's longer than left field. That's like a long way from where Ohtani hit it
over the rooftops.
The bat yesterday.
It's like Duncan Park and Hastings. Maybe at that during that time that I don't remember. But as far as my recollection of childhood, I never really had aspirations of an astronaut. Now I know that was always thrown out there of like, oh, you want to be an astronaut? No, I probably wanted to be more of a cowboy because I like to play cowboys and robbers. It was fun.
Okay.
Plus Danny White, hell of a quarterback. Couldn't win the big one, but
somehow I was not a Cowboys fan though.
We had a little bit of a ESPN crime.
Oh.
Did you guys see the ManningCast?
Yeah, the numbers
ratings
are way down.
So it is the lowest since they started doing the ManningCast.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to do it again this week for Atlanta and Philadelphia.
They're needed for that game.
Here's what I think happened. I think ESPN killed the ManningCast.
How's that?
They have Joe Buck and Troy Aikman doing the games.
Yeah.
People don't have a reason to tune away from the main broadcast. So they like listening to Buck and Aikman together. Yeah. So they don't jump over to the ManningCast and they stick with regular ESPN. And so people are like, yeah, you know what? ManningCast is odd. I can't hear the noise of the game. It gets kind of discombobulated. We talked the other day about leg issues and communication with their guests and not just letting Eli and Peyton cook.
Mm-hmm.
But Aikman and Buck are good enough that people are like, why would I go anywhere else? So I think that's the reason. Some are saying the Mannings have worn off.
Just don't play golf with Joe Buck.
I don't know. They are not out. You do not see them in as many commercials as the Kelseys.
Yeah.
But the Mannings are still the Mannings. I just think it's Buck and Aikman. They're good. People don't want to leave them. ESPN got the booth right. They got a Super Bowl. And the ManningCast is feeling the effects.
Yeah, I can definitely buy that because this is as good as Monday Night Football has ever been. As far as what you have in the booth, the consistency that is now there.
Whoa.
In my lifetime. Now, no.
Did you just slander Al Frank and Dan?
Dan Dierdorf. Yes, I grew up on that. That was the OG, and that was still pretty damn special. But then there was this whole just mishmash of, hey, let's throw Dennis Miller in there. Let's put Tony Kornheiser in. Let's do all of these fun, wacky things. Like to the point that I actually enjoyed hearing John Gruden in the booth because that's what we were coming off of. Like this is the most, okay, maybe the better way. Since Al Michaels, Gifford, and Deerdorf, this has been the most stable the Monday night booth has sounded.
Say Al Michaels and John Madden.
Very recognizable. I know anytime you hear Joe Buck and Troy Aikman's voice, you associate that to a big game. That's what Monday Night Football wants to be all about. And so, yeah, I think there's probably some truth to that. As far as the Mannings starting to wear on people, I don't think I'd go with that because I think they're always going to have an audience that appreciates that combination of insight but also humor. I do think, and I think you brought this up, and I would wholeheartedly agree.
Peyton?
That is the guests.
Peyton?
Peyton was yelling the other night a lot.
Peyton?
Peyton? Are you saying Peyton?
You seen the commercial?
Yeah. The Peyton? So Peyton, right? Yeah.
Peyton.
Like, good job.
Peyton.
Or well done. And you're saying Peyton, right? I still think they have that presence. It's just because if I remember correctly, you brought this up last year about the guests. Certain guests are fine, but less is more, in my opinion, with that. I don't think it's more of people growing tired of them. I think it's just the overall presentation of it that it just gets weird sometimes.
I think it's Buck and Aikman. There were times last year I'd be like, well, I want to watch Joe and Troy.
Can I ask you guys this too? Because there was a time where I think people, Joe Buck, so smug that one. I feel like his stock is as high as it's ever been. I hear way more people on the Joe Buck bandwagon than ever before, where it was always easy to kind of tee off on Joe Buck.
Kansas City.
I've always been I've been pro Joe Buck.
Same.
I have not always, but
it's
probably in the last 10 years.
Why did you change? Why did you not like him and all of a sudden change? Because, he happened to call a baseball game in 2016.
I do know that. And I actually thought that series was fantastic as far as the way that it was called. That had nothing to do with it.
I did too. I thought that series was fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Yeah. But the way he called the Rajai Davis home run, too. I know. If the game just would have ended there. In my head, it did. In my mind, it did.
The Oilers won at halftime.
I did think that there was always kind of an arrogance. But again, I was naive to the point of actually he's just very good at what he does. I've come around on him because the longer, and this is that whole long game, and the consistency of having a guy that is part of all of the big games, whether we're talking about World Series, whether we're talking about the nationally televised afternoon game on Fox, and now Monday Night Football and the occasional Super Bowl, that there are just certain voices, whether you liked it or not, you associate with a big game. And after a while, that's just where your mind goes, and you can appreciate what goes into it. And between those two together is fantastic. But where I've come around on Joe Buck is it's not just him and Troy Aikman too. It's what he does in the broadcast booth in baseball. I've just become more appreciative of Joe Buck than what I think I was when I was a little bit more naive, thinking, oh, he's arrogant. Oh, he's smug. Oh, he hates my team. And then you learn, no, that's not it. That's just not it.
Who's with Yogi Roth this Saturday night?
Guy Haberman, and they did a hell of a job on the Oregon-Idaho game, so it'll be a very good call. It'll be a lot better than last Saturday.
They did. Okay.
Damn good crew.
That's the problem with Burmeister is the voice doesn't make it a big game. So Brando and Devin Gardner are doing the Friday night Illinois game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, go get a selfie?
The Colt McCoy.
Tim Brando loves himself some Nebraska. Mm-hmm. I mean, have a drinking game. He'll mention Larry the Cable Guy numerous times because he comes and golfs in his event.
Biggest celebrity, too.
He called the NIU game. Never forget that.
Oh, he did, didn't he?
Yeah. Watching at Johnny's at 95th and Metcalf.
Oh.
Wait, of the 27th, the Northern Illinois game?
Tanner League game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We were excited to go watch that game.
When you said the
there,
NIU game, I'm like, oh, yeah.
We had to
all you got to do
early.
is say the Tanner League game or the 2017.
Yeah. Les Miles was in the booth. Now, there's something everybody forgets.
Oh, my God, you're right.
Including Les.
That's why Nebraska got away from ESPN.
Oof. God, what a crew there. Oh, my gosh. By the way, Colt McCoy and Burmeister made an appearance in Chasing 3. Nicole Auerbach, a lot of FaceTime there too.
Because they were embedded with Nebraska.
Yeah. I did like the again, little things about this episode too that probably won't get a lot of talk. First of all, shout out to Keith Mann. Keith Mann having his role in orchestrating. Okay, it's just gonna be about 5 minutes. Dylan's like, all right, 2:00 that work for you? Yeah. And then one of the best things is when he's telling Isaac Gifford what he has to do. Isaac Gifford's face of, okay, just it was the perfect way to portray what Nebraska football is about versus the opponent, of how excited most of those guys at Colorado would be of, as you're telling your different media obligations, or your not even media obligations, but this is when you're going to be on screen as opposed to, yep, okay, you got practice.
Yeah.
Isaac Gifford probably summed it up the best. The way he's walking, looks like he's walking to the next drill or to the next activity in practice. He's focused on that, but he's also given the courtesy of respecting Keith Mann's job, saying, okay, that's fine. Now I'm going back to work. Boom. Difference between that culture and the one in Boulder. And just a little moment right there.
Yeah, maybe also a little bit, Isaac Gifford a little bit different.
So I've heard.
Yeah. Good dude.
Yeah.
Brian Edwards still to come. He's got NFL and college coming up. You do have the Bills and the Dolphins tonight. Arizona State and Texas State playing. That's the Thursday night game on ESPN. That is a really, really good pickup.
Oh, geez, Noah, to Southwest Texas State? Yeah, that's what they were until about 20 years ago, and then they became Texas State.
Oh, okay. Just like when Missouri State used to be SMS. They were in the College World Series with that, too. Remember that? Southwest Missouri State. People forget. Or do they? Creighton rival. Talk amongst yourselves.
Hey, another game that when it was on the schedule, you thought, okay, this is going to be a big game. We're going to talk about it. Big Nude kickoff is in Madison.
Mm-hmm.
What do we make of Wisconsin? They are a 16.5-point underdog against Alabama, who, they messed with their food, but it didn't come back to bite them in their game against USF on Saturday.
I thought you meant literally they do.
But they're 125th in the country in penalties.
Mm-hmm.
They can't hold on to the football. And now they play Wisconsin, and they are a heavy 16.5-point favorite against a team that has put up 28 and 27 in their first two games. What do we make of Wisconsin?
Much more winnable game. That was the game that...
For Wisconsin against Alabama?
Oh, no. I thought about Nebraska.
Oh. Gotcha.
Yeah, I think Wisconsin gets right this week.
I was like, whoa, you have a lot of confidence. South Dakota must be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, man. Everyone says from week 1 to week 2, you wait from week 2 to week 3 with this team. Yeah, so I watched that game Friday night in the season opener, and literally a flukish play that winds up to be an interception is the difference in that one. Tyler Van Dyke leaves me flat. When I looked at that game earlier in the year, this is where I think I was probably more high on Wisconsin than, I don't know about you.
I can't kill Wisconsin.
Yeah, and see, that was...
They're not really easing into the Big Ten by playing them. I don't know.
I mean, Ches Malusi, again, is, what's he got, 134 yards in 2 games, too. So there's just, for Wisconsin right now, this is where the series history is one thing with Nebraska and Wisconsin. This is more in my belief of Luke Fickell, with the type of coach that I still believe him to be, that it's nothing that I would ever look at and say, oh, yeah, there's definitely a great opportunity for Nebraska to get that one. I think a lot of people were kind of pointing to that one, though, earlier this year, saying, I feel like Wisconsin is more vulnerable than they've been. I wasn't seeing it that way. Watching them in 2 games, though, I'm buying into that. I think that is a much more gettable game.
I think, again, I can't quit Wisconsin, but I don't think they have they haven't been explosive offensively.
Nope.
They don't have the kind of offensive line that can bully you in this game. They maybe have been vanilla, but it's kind of underwhelming right now, the Luke Fickell era.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great chance to jump onto the map nationally and just remind people they're still Wisconsin. And again, I can't quit Wisconsin, but very underwhelming. I don't know what to make of them. And they may be just being awful coy coming into this game.
Yeah.
But damn, that's a huge line for Alabama, Wisconsin. I know Alabama is ranked in the top 5, but Alabama hasn't been like overly impressive.
Right.
But yet they're going to roll in. They're going to be over a 2-touchdown favorite. We get a text from Fort Collins. This is from Evan, who chimes in with Colorado State joining the Pac-12.
Congratulations.
You would think that Evan would be excited.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of the Mountain West, say goodbye, join the Pac-12.
Yeah.
He says, interesting morning in the pissing contest that is NCAA football. I have no idea where Colorado State is going to come up with $18 million to join a 6-team league. And P.S. F the Buffs. Thank you, Evan.
So they are still in rivalry mode. That's good.
Well,
Big week.
They hate each other.
Got to get that hate going.
Big week.
Dude, I just think
I want to go to this game.
Remember, this is nasty. Mm-hmm. I know that the way it all worked out is why they played on campus last year and this year. Man, Colorado is in for one. I just think that place will be, it's 6:30, so it's 5:30 out there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of New Belgium consumed.
A lot of Colorado State guys, man. I mean, they must be hoarse from talking all the crap they have this week about Colorado. I imagine there will be late hits.
Yep.
I imagine there will be a lot of the stuff that happened last year where it got really, really tight on each other.
Mm-hmm.
I also forgot that Norvell's wife went after Colorado.
I don't remember that one.
I don't either.
She had some comments about the Colorado football players in the offseason.
In the offseason?
Because Dion was asked about it the other day.
Like very Lynn Marshall.
I was like, whoa, Keeler, where's this coming from? And Dion took the high road.
Okay. All right.
This is
this
is so Colorado reality show, and now they play a team that is in their own state that hates them as much and would love to just, pack up the Louis for Dion, sell his house in Boulder with a victory. Because I don't know you're coming back from losing to Colorado State.
You're not.
Well, I'm watching this game just for the mere fact that I think it's going to be an ultimate gong show.
Jay Norvell's perfect for this too, and he showed that last year. I remember when Jay Norvell was here, and he was soft-spoken, just kind of a business guy. You didn't really get that. That's why when he went all in on Deion last year, I don't know about you, because you might have known him better than within the program.
I did not know him at all.
Okay,
I just very quiet voice.
That's what surprised me, and I'll give him the credit though. Even moving forward, he was asked in a couple of different occasions if he regretted bringing up Deion and the whole wearing your sunglasses. I was taught this way, all that stuff, and he said no. It's just that's what he believed. But I think how chippy that game was last year and the start that Colorado State got off to, and it looked like, oh my God, they're actually going to do it too. I think kind of like the Nebraska-Colorado game from a year ago, where you now know, not that you needed an episode of Chasing 3 to drive that home, but you now know how that was brought to the players from the coaching and the motivation standpoint of how last year carries over to this year. I think Colorado State, I think they're going to be about piss and vinegar in that one too, because I think they feel like they let Colorado off the hook, but their head coach, I don't think, is letting them forget about that either. So that to me is fun, because we know what Colorado can do with the skilled players, but as far as matching strength on the front line, does anything of their line of scrimmage look overwhelming? That would be a real I'm not trying to say Colorado State is great either, but is Colorado running out any type of beasts up front that you're like, oh, damn, they'll just get overwhelmed? I think this could be a very similar game the way it was a year ago. And this one being in Fort Collins as opposed to Boulder, oh, hell yeah. Because then as a player, you're going to feel that much more confident, yet that much more cocky about everything that happens in that game. And you know that you can get reaction out of Colorado by doing those types of things too.
Yeah, I don't think you'll have the same scenario where Deion will give away his Colorado hat to a Nebraska fan dressed in a Raiola jersey. I don't think there'll be a Colorado State fan that'll say, hey, come here, little boy. Which I don't know if you did see. That was there was a Nebraska fan did share. He was on the sidelines, and his son was wearing a 15 Nebraska jersey. Deion waved him over, and Deion gave him his hat.
Okay. Was it Josh's kid?
No, it was like a Nebraska fan.
That's
they
cool.
Just had sideline passes.
Yeah,
I don't know. Must have been a rough day in Boulder. Like, hey, we got to share something positive. Let's put out this video. All right, Brian Edwards coming up in a little bit. It has been brought to my attention that Brian Edwards picked Colorado to beat Nebraska.
Oh,
we might not live in the 303, but I'm keeping receipts. So B. Edwards will join us in a little bit. You know, one name that has hardly been brought up this week, because I think if you're going to feature somebody in the offense this week, and the theme of Chasing 3 will be going deep, Ja'Cory Barney is going to be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have packages. They have 3 different roles that he plays in the offense. And Jalen Lloyd is starting to get back to 100%. Yep. No one has brought up Carter Nelson this week. I was a little surprised.
Only in the Monday presser did I hear Matt Rule get asked about him, and with his response that it was more about the older guys and the guys that played in that game a year ago, but felt very confident that he'd be back in it.
Carter was not triggered living in Ainsworth last year, so you don't get to play.
Yeah.
I know
just didn't mean as much to him.
I know you live in Western Nebraska, and there's probably a lot of Colorado fans out there. But let me tell you, Lindemeyer was pissed off last year. Okay, so he's going to get to play before you.
Yeah, that's kind of how it sounded, actually.
I would think that there would be opportunities for him to be involved as well on Saturday night.
Kind of excited to see what this offense throws out there, because you mentioned one guy who you saw a lot more of a presence with, Jalen Lloyd. And then listening to Garrett McGuire talk about him last night too, you can tell they want him to be a bigger part of this offense.
I'll tell you, a guy that has to have a big game is Jamal Banks. Yeah. Guy's wearing a single-digit number.
Mm-hmm. And I think more of what his narrative has been right now has been more of off the field, the kind of representative he is off the field, then that needs to translate on the field too. Had the great touchdown catch right before halftime of the UTEP, but I'm with you. He's a guy that I expected to be a huge part.
This is wild that we're having this discussion again about Garrett McGuire's position group. I shuddered last night when he said effort. I was like, ooh, You and Ed Foley, you better go for some coffee down at the old mill, okay? You better discuss what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
But he used the word effort.
Well,
we'll see. See if the bell has gone ding, ding for Saturday night. But Jamal Banks is a guy that needs to have a good game because he can have a good game.
Mm-hmm.
But Jamal Banks has got to be more attention to detail. And also I'd like to see not only in the passing game that includes the wide receivers because they can spring guys. There has to be a sense of urgency. And I'm glad the head coach started the sense of urgency after a big win against an opponent that everybody's saying, like, you should roll over them.
Yep. The thing I brought up yesterday, because I know Sip had just mentioned it as well, was when Satterfield mentioned the perimeter blocking that was a problem in the fall too, that was another part of it. That didn't get corrected.
So it goes to teams don't respect you, and they're going to play you differently.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like little details they brought up. But, man, why are we talking about this again, about the wide receivers? We talked about this last year.
Mm-hmm.
There are a bunch of new guys in that room. Why are we talking about it again?
More depth.
What's wrong with Garrett McGuire's position group? Why are they not into it? Why are they not giving effort? What's the disconnect? Because they got some dudes in that room. Now, I'm not saying everybody in that room is like this, because when some guys are struggling and they don't do the minor stuff right, the guys that do and do everything well, they stand out and they make you look bad. And there's two young kids that are doing that right now. And that's why they should play more.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Ja'Cory Barney should play a lot more. That's why Jalen Lloyd is going to, now the healthy, should play a lot more. You need Banks and Naor, but they gotta give you a reason that you are playing more than just you're talented.
Yeah.
But why are we doing this again? All right. Brian Edwards will join us next on 1620 The Zone. All right, before we bring in Brian Edwards, I have to read this tweet. This is from Kerry, our good friend, Chris Schmidt. Kerry was listening to him on another show. Schmitty read on air an email from a guy that went to the game, and he said after the game, when the students ran on the field, he noticed a 64-year-old lady walk down to the field, pull a bag out, and spread someone's ashes onto the field Saturday night in Lincoln.
Yes. Good night to do that, too. Right.
Let's welcome in Brian Edwards. Do you think there would be any point that you would spread ashes in the swamp?
Oh, wow. I still have some of my dad's ashes, but I don't know that I'm going to be down in the swamp with them. But, I mean, I'm thinking worse places.
Hey, before we talk about this week, what were your thoughts on the Nebraska-Colorado game?
Pimp slap from start to finish. Nebraska looks good.
Did that surprise you?
That's a great description.
A little bit. Yeah. It was the fact that it was so dominant. Yeah, it surprised me a little bit.
Okay. Let's jump into the slate this week. And this is a game, by the way, we're watching this from afar, the Kentucky-South Carolina game. I couldn't believe what was going on. But as a result, the game in Lexington where game day was supposed to be all of a sudden gets shot down because Kentucky loses. Now they got to deal with Georgia. Your thoughts on this game, and in particular, the one play you're going to have off this game is the team total for Georgia.
Yeah, I'm going to go team total over 34.5 on Georgia. South Carolina, I know they had a pick six, so one defensive touchdown, but they got to 31. Georgia's offense is about 100 times better than South Carolina's. Brock Vandegrift's confidence has to be shot after that poor performance. And he's going to be under similar duress like Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart had on him last week, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. But now, as I say, I don't like to lay big numbers on the road, but I'm going to tell you how I like Ole Miss. I just want to go the team total over on Georgia instead of like 24. Who knows? Put your backdoor late or something. So I'm confident Georgia will get at least 35, probably on everybody they play, although they ended up with only 34 against Clemson. But the rest of the way, I think they got a great chance to score 35 against everybody.
All right, we'll get to Ole Miss in a moment, but a lot of eyes are going to be in Tallahassee, probably for not the reasons that they anticipated at the beginning of the year. And Florida State trying to get their first win of the season. Memphis at 2-0 hasn't really played anybody, North Alabama and Troy, but right now the Noles are a 6.5-point favorite at home in an 11 a.m. kickoff. Memphis the play here?
I believe so. I got 7, so I would buy the half point to 7. But a lot of books are minus 105 on the 6.5, so shouldn't be. Maybe get minus 115 buying it to 7. Until I see something different from FSU, I mean they're on my fade list. It's not pretty high up there. I mean they couldn't run the ball against Boston College, which didn't exactly have a terrorizing defense last year. They only ran it for 21 yards on 16 attempts. Meanwhile, they got pounded by BC's running game for 263 rushing yards. That FSU lost a lot of talent and leadership to the draft, and the new influx of transfers. Doesn't look like they've got good chemistry. Maybe the open date helped them. I think we've got the quarterback advantage. Seth Hennigan, 32-9 TDI-INT ratio last year, 3 touchdowns without an interception. Year, the Tigers' last 2 Power 5 opponents, they beat Iowa State 36-26 at the Liberty Bowl last year, and then they went to St. Louis and only lost by 7 to Missouri, which ended up winning 11 games last year. So I'll go Memphis plus 7.
All right. You and I have been doing this for a long time. And there are some rules that I know are Brian Edwards rules that you never break. You just alluded to this. Ole Miss, 23.5-point favorite on the road at Wake. You don't like those big numbers for road teams, but you're going to violate one of your rules. Why do you like Ole Miss and a big favorite on the road?
Well, Wake, not much as, Clawson had it rolling there pretty good for Wake for a while. But when Sam Hartman announced he was transferring to Notre Dame, the Deacs are 5-9 straight up, 4-9-1 against the spread since then. They couldn't beat Virginia at home last week. They gave up 357 passing in Virginia. Their best player on the whole team defensive end Jashin Davis, 40 and 1/2 career tackles for loss, 21 career sacks. He's doubtful. Clausen, he said that on Wednesday, and that's a big blow to them. And the Rebels, their last 8 is road favorites, 6-1-1 against the spread, 2-0-1 against the spread is double-digit road favorites. One at Georgia Tech, 42-0, and 52-28 at Vandy. And I'm going to go with Lane Kiffin's team. As long as it's 24 or fewer, I like the Rebels.
We're talking about Kentucky a little bit ago. South Carolina putting it on them. LSU mixed from last week, I guess, but with LSU on the road, I know your play is South Carolina with South Carolina getting the points, getting the 7 points. Is this more of what you believe in South Carolina or what you don't believe in LSU?
Well, LSU has not looked sharp, and they haven't been good as road favorites under Brian Kelly, only 2-4 ATS. Rocket Sanders doesn't look quite like his 2022 form when he was one of the best players in the country for Arkansas, but he looks a lot healthier than he looked last year. And this front four defensively for South Carolina is nasty. Hard from 2 games, half sack. And freshman South Carolina, he was beating triple teams against Kentucky last week. The company comes to mind is Davion Clowney. Like he might be faster and a little better technique and more coachable. And Stewart in his first 2 games, he's got 2.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 QB hurries on several penalties. I think he's doing the 2027 NFL draft. I've seen much of it. I've seen enough of that. And I don't really trust Lenore Sellers yet, but he was a lot better. I fear him making mistakes, turnovers that could hurt us here. But I think that Kennard and Stewart are going to create turnovers, force fumbles as well, as they've done 4 times in 2 games. Give me South Carolina +7.
Brian Edwards joining us. You can follow him on Twitter at VegasBEdwards, where you would have seen some of the Week 4 look-ahead lines, like Nebraska, Illinois being an 8-point favorite. Let's go to the NFL. Kind of an interesting game. Week number 2, 2 teams that went 0-1. Their quarterback play was not great. One side feels a lot better about the future of their quarterback than the other. Washington and the Giants. Where do you lean in this game? And then I know you like a prop with this with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I'm going to fade the Giants. I like Washington here. I thought Daniels looked good last week, but what I like more is his rushing yards prop. It was only 39.5 last week. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was betting his rushing yard props overs in the 80s late in the year for LSU last year. Now it is bumped up to 52.5 this week, but I still love it over. He had 88 rushing yards, 2 touchdown attempts last week. We've got a huge quarterback advantage. Daniels compared to Daniel Jones. Let's also go with Commanders. And look, the Commanders, they cut their kicker because, he was awful last week. If they hadn't settled for or missed field goals on a couple of drives last week, that would have been a much more competitive game. But anyway, give me the Commanders, but I like better. Probably my favorite pick of the entire week, Jaden Daniels prop to go over 52.5 rushing yards. That's what DraftKings had it at an hour or so ago.
Hey, 2 teams coming out of losses in week 1 in Indianapolis and Green Bay. You could have varying results as far as how you feel, especially Green Bay not having Jordan Love coming into week 2, but also what the Colts did with a good Houston Texans team was not nothing in my opinion. Colts will be dare I say, a road favorite in Lambeau. Is that the play?
I believe so. If it's still 3, and I haven't looked here in an hour or 2, but no analysis here other than I'm fading Malik Willis. Mm-hmm. I don't think Green Bay is going to generate hardly any offense. I think he's an awful NFL quarterback. He has shown that to us. He's played in 12 career games, 52.2% completion percentage, 0 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions. Give me the Colts -3.
All right. Did I see you have a A.J. Brown prop as well?
Yep, over 78.5 on his receiving yards.
against the Falcons, and I'm a strong lean to the Eagles there. And I think the Eagles are a good money line parlay or tease team this week, potentially with wherever you want to go. The Ravens, maybe I don't know. I don't really trust the Cowboys, but the Chiefs are a potential money line parlay or teaser team this week. So is Houston. I don't think the Bears are very good. So, Philadelphia, you can do money line parlay or teaser with Houston and or KC, Baltimore. There you go.
Hey, we'll get you out on this. It's not one of your plays, but it's one of your passions. What happens between Texas A&M and Florida?
Oh, man. Depends on how much DJ Lagway plays. Sunday morning when I made my line, thinking Lagway was going to be the starter, I made A&M 3. I don't know how much Napier's going to play. Napier's such a knucklehead. Who knows? If I had gun in the head, if I had to pick it, I'd go A&M.
All right. We'll watch that game. That game has a lot of intrigue. Important game for both sides. B, great stuff. Enjoy the football, the Thursday night football throughout the weekend. As always, we appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks, guys. You have a great weekend.
Brian Edwards, senior handicapper at Vegas Insider. You can follow him on Twitter at VegasBEdwards. Shane Beamer needs a win.
A little bit. That would be huge. That would absolutely be huge. Gosh, I forgot to ask Brian about. Sorry, I'm ticked off. He had the Kyle. See, with his prop bets at the NFL last year was the Kyle Pitts one every week, and it usually paid off. I was going to ask him about that one too.
So you can ask about Spaghetti Works or something.
No, I just thought of the Kyle Pitts one. I knew there was something I wanted to ask him going into it. Now it just hit me.
You got Twitter.
I will
DM up.
I am. I'm going to be like, hey, what's up with Kyle Pitts? He's also my fantasy tight end.
Enjoy the football tonight. You'll hear it here on the Zone. The Bills and the Finns. You got 2 hours to get your picks in. 1620thezone.com. Sign up for the email. You get easier access. But you got 2 hours to get your picks in for the games coming up beginning tonight and through the weekend. Tomorrow, Football Friday Fiesta and a day closer to Nebraska and Northern Iowa. Can you feel it?
Bring on them Panthers.
This is a 50-burger program game.
It is. A lot of third and fourth stringers playing in this game.
All right. Crossovers coming up next for Jimmy, for Nick. I'm Gary. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 6.